Thank you, Mrs. Harlan. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty One territory of the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 41st Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Mr. Robert Hutchings. I'll be chairing the hearing today. I'm joined on the panel by Ms. Kira Penner and Mr. Richard Whitbread. Our secretary today is Mrs. Harland. The two assessors representing the City of Winnipeg Assessment and Taxation Department are Ms. Shable and Mr. Ratton. I believe we have no Zoom participants except for Mr. Neufeld, so we'll leave that one. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questioning again. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions based on the evidence presented here today. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 through 8 on our docket today. Mrs. Harlan, please affirm the two assessors and the applicant's testimony.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ms. Applicant, or rather Ms. Assessor, would you please state your full name?
Svetlana Sheba.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Assessor, would you please stand and state your full name?
Abhishek Rathan.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Mrs. Harlan. Good afternoon to Mr. Neufeld and to Ms. Shable and Mr. Ratton. Pardon me.
Mr. Chair, should
Yes.
I swear in the applicant?
So I'm sorry. Yes, sorry. Yes, of course.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, would you please state your full name?
Rocky Neufeld.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. First item on the docket is item number 1, file number 24-4375, addressed on Navy Way, roll number 12-0925-17200, and we're dealing with a 2025 realty assessment appeal. Ms. Shable, I believe you're presenting on this one. Just bear with us 1 second while we pull your brief up, please. Ms. Shable, when you're ready, Navy Way, please.
File number 24-4375, roll number 120-925-17200. We assessed 2025 with reference date April 1st, 2023 at 480,000. The subject property surface parking lot area of 4,835 square feet, located on Broadway Synagogue neighborhood. It's downtown. On page number 2, we have air photo view. It's rectangular shape of subject property, located not far from intersection Assiniboine Avenue and Navy Way. The subject property has zoning D downtown, living section intent to enhance those primary residential areas. Use of buildings is expected to be primary residential. The building form range from 2-story century home to low-rise walk-up apartments to high-rise condominium. Urban design review is intended to enhance the pedestrian environment. On page number 4, we have income approach for subject property. We did assess 15 stall count at $18 monthly net units rent per stall, and we apply capitalization rate for 0.5%. It gives capitalized value of 320,000. Also, we have to do adjustment 160,000 for land value. So estimate market income approaching land value of 480,000. We assess parking lot at $18 per stall per units. You can see set of comparables, 6 comparables on page number 4 on bottom. It's on Bannatyne, Edmonton, Donald, York, and Gary Street, downtown properties. Mean or average $156 and median $116. Like I say, subject property we assess on land value. Please open page number 8. Replacement cost new of paving $113, so depreciation cost 0. Detached structure only 3,000, land value 480,000. What is our assessment for 2025 assessment years? Let's look at my comparables on page number 9. I presented 4 comparables. 44 Hargrave, 24 St. Mary, Pioneer, and 124 Bannatyne. It's close proximity to the subject property. They have a neighborhood, first comparables for 44 Hargrave, same neighborhood like subject property, 165. They was sale in 2017 at $142.28. Second comparables on 240 St. Mary, size 3,000 square feet, sale in 2019 for $128.76. As third comparables, Pioneer, 27,811 square feet, sale in 2019 at $136.64. Fourth comparable, 124 Bannatyne, over 30,110 square feet, sale for $120.89, and give a mean or average $132.40 and median $132.70. On page number 10, second table, land valuation, we assess 4,835 square feet and $99.28. That give us 480,000 land value. So based on my comparables, let's look at it more. On page number 11, presented income expenses method. For subject property, it's used like parking lot. Let's look at my comparables photo view for air photo and street view on page number 15. Comparables 124 Bannatyne Avenue. It has rectangle shape of property with extra irregular shape of addition. Its street view is used like parking lot. On page number 16, I have property facing 4th Street. It's a rectangle shape of property, street view shows that it's used like parking lot. My first comparable 168 Edmonton Street. It's a rectangle shape of property, it's a parking lot, you can see on bottom. 160 Donald, rectangle shape of parking lot. On page 18, 325 York Avenue. It's a rectangle shape of parking lot facing York. And 155 Gary Street. It's as well parking lot. Now on page number 20, we start land comparables. 444 Hargrave, rectangle shape of vacant place was sold. And now today it's already improvements at all. On page 21, we have 24 St. Mary. It was on sale vacant lot and today still vacant lot. On page 22nd, Pioneer, we have regular shape of parking lot. It was during sale and still it's parking lot. And comparables on 23, 124 Banner Time. It was parking lot and today parking lot. So based on evidence presented in this brief, we ask him to confirm the 2025 assessed value of 480,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Mr. Neufeld, any questions on the evidence presented by the assessor?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Neufeld, could I ask you when you ask questions to refer to what page on our presentation you're referring to, if you don't
Yeah,
mind?
no, I haven't started yet. I'm just looking for it. I'd give it to you as soon as I can find it.
I just meant so we know where we are, that's all. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, no problem there. I was just looking for a start point here. I guess no real page, but maybe page 2. What is this a parking lot for?
On page number 2, we can see therefore it's parking lot.
Who are the users?
Parking lot below Gopher Enterprise Limited.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Parking lot belong Gophers Enterprise Limited.
Okay, but who parks there? Is this residential parking, scramble parking, commercial parking? Do you know?
If you open page 11, what provided to us, it's property group office, Capital Enterprise Limited. Property owner. We have different property owner situation. Let's check who appeal.
Okay, so on page 11, it states here that the parking revenue is included in 36 Navy Way and 308 Assiniboine. Did you look up the revenue in those two forms?
It's should be separate for us.
I don't care what you think it should be. Did you look it up?
So, good point. We asking for not cooperation because when they provide income expense mailer for us, they should be clear, separate properties they presented. Plenary sheet, yes.
Did anybody?
Ms. Shable, Mr. Neufeld's question was, did you look up those two addresses? A simple yes or no, please.
I can state for the records. The subject property didn't present information useful for us. He presented another properties include.
Did anybody follow up with them to determine if there was a breakout value for parking?
For our assessment, we assess land value.
Did
For
it?
us, income expenses, for us, income approach like artificial, land value only for the subject property.
The form said there were 2 apartments where the revenue was generated. Did anybody follow up and try to determine if there was a breakout value on those sites?
For assessment purpose, we assess like land value, it's not necessary to look into.
Okay, this wasn't what I was asking. I was just asking if there was a follow-up. Do you know if there was a follow-up?
No,
Okay.
Thank you.
And your stall count is 15. Where did you get that from?
it's for our records, but we assess like land value of 4,835 square feet. You can ignore income approach.
I'm sorry, what method are you using for your valuation? Are you using
Land value, if you
land
open
value?
page 8, you can see land value for 180,000, what is our assessment?
Okay, so
2025.
you're not using the income approach then?
No, it doesn't support land value. That's why I have to put additional land value of 160,000 to bring income approach to 480,000.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you're on record as saying that it's that you used a direct comparison approach. Is that correct,
I
Ben?
use cost approach.
That's not the cost approach, it's direct
It's cost
comparison.
approach.
It's the
It's
direct
cost approach.
comparison approach, is it not?
No, on page number 8, clear, it's cost approach. We don't use direct comparison approach for assessment today.
Okay, so what's the cost approach? It says 0. Not on page 8.
On page number 8, total value 483,000.
No, you said cost approach, page 8. It says 0. RCNLD.
It's building, it's
Placement cost new less depreciation, $0.
3,000 for paving. A land value for 180,000.
Okay. The sales you use now, what is I was looking at 44 Hargrave. It doesn't exist anymore, does it?
Let's look. Page 20. During sale, it was vacant, vacant land.
Does it
Today, we
exist?
have improvements on top.
Okay. It's actually a merged role with the property next door, correct?
No,
50 Hargrave?
yeah, if look, yes, they merge with another land.
Okay.
But in my case, for 44 Hargrave, it's just a piece of land, red perimeter. They sell 6,034 square feet in 2017 at $142.28 per square feet.
Considering that it's now merged, did you determine whether or not this lot next door sold at the same time and or there was an assemblage of land for a larger?
My
Sorry, let me finish my
comparables piece
question.
of land, 444.
Let me please finish my question. Whether or not it was sold together with the property next door and or it was an assemblage with the property next door to build a project on. Did you look into that?
The subject property was sold separate and not subject. Comparables for Hargrave was sold separate with transfer number 4830188 of 6,034 square feet before any assemblage was done.
You don't know then when 50 Hargrave was sold?
I didn't look into, but you can see today it's already improvements on 2 pieces of land.
Okay, so you did not determine if there was an assemblage value then?
I don't look for assemblage value. I use vacant land to confirm land of value for subject property of 4,835 square feet.
On that now, the next piece of property, 240 St. Mary, isn't that now being assembled for a larger project, including Mitzi's and the former Windsor Inn?
According to sale in 2019, it was 3,029 square feet. Commercial land on page 21, first photo, and bottom photo, other view showed still vacant land.
Did you determine whether or not there was an assemblage sale?
I didn't look further. It's a commercial land sale.
The next one on Pioneer, what do those initials mean? BR, BS, and CR2?
Pioneer, let's look on Pioneer. It was a lot of 27,811 square feet, sold in 2019 for $136.64.
I asked the question, what do those initials mean?
Which initials?
They're in your report. BR, BS, CR2.
What page are you referring to, Mr. Neufeld?
I am on page 9.
9, okay, thank you.
Land influence.
Yeah, but I don't remember the part. I don't remember how to appreciation. I know that it's four of comparables located in downtown properties, land use commercial. And it's very close to the subject property size, what I was looking for.
Okay, so you don't know what those initials stand for?
I don't remember. I
Okay.
will have full explanation for future.
I'm just wondering because you've got land.
It's abbreviation, I don't remember.
You have land use influences, so I just wanted to know what these were. BR, I believe, is bus route, but I don't know what the others are. And sorry, these sales 2 to 4 are in a different neighborhood, are they not?
Comparables number 4, 124 Banatine. They're located in downtown, a little bit higher land area, over 30,000 square feet. Sold in 2019 on $120.89.
Right. So, but this is a different neighborhood, isn't it?
It's downtown. It's closest to the subject property.
Is it in a different neighborhood?
It's different name, but very close to the subject property.
And what about the use on these? Do they have what sort of parkers are on these properties? And I'm only asking about.
During sale, land use was commercial.
I'm asking for comparables 2, 3, and 4. What type of parking is on there? Is it residential, commercial, event, casual, meter parking? Do you have that information?
It's downtown parking.
For example, 124 Bannatyne is very close to the Gold Ice Stadium. Do they get additional revenue for parking from baseball games?
You talk about Hargrave. Bannatyne. It's a parking lot, was sale for $120.89 per square foot. And same zoning like downtown living and subject property.
Ms. Shable, the applicant is asking you specific questions about these properties. You've already provided us with the evidence of the sale date and the selling price per square foot. His question is relevant to whether he's asking you whether because it's beside the Goldeye Stadium, whether there's possibly income derived from after hours business for baseball games or events at the stadium, Goldeye Stadium.
I want to compare apple to apple because I'm looking for piece of land, not income approach of parking lot.
Okay, fair enough, but you presented the income approach. So his question is, Whether,
I presented these comparables for vacant land value only without income approach.
but his question is on the income.
It's
Which-
not relevant for my land comparables.
Okay, do you know, I'll ask the question. Maybe you can respond to me. Would you think that being next to the Goldeye Stadium would provide extra income after hours? That's his
If you
question.
want to look about income, we have on page number 4, we have one of land parking lot on Bannatyne. It's same, good, it's same, 124 Bannatyne and another Bannatyne Avenue.
Okay,
Altogether 124 stalls.
I'm gonna ask,
Garage at 54.
Yeah, but-
Daily rent $18 per square foot. Instabilized net operating income stall per month $96.26. It's reported to us.
please do not interrupt me, please. I'm asking you a question, a simple question. Otherwise, the applicant asks you if you would agree that I'm putting words in your mouth, Mr. Neufeld, sorry, but in this particular property, and I know you're not using the income approach, but are using it to support the value, secondary value, or whatever you're doing, presenting 3 approaches to value. Being located next to the Goldeye Stadium that has different events and baseball, is it possible that it's getting extra income after hours from businesses that park there during the day? Yes or no?
They have daily $18 per square foot. Yes, they have income.
Okay, thank you. There, that was
On
easy.
page number 4, it's support evidence.
Okay, yes, okay, but I would appreciate it if you would answer the applicant's question, yes or no. Otherwise, you're gonna be here till midnight. So let's stick to the facts, answer the simple question, yes or no. Or, we don't need a reiteration of the evidence. We have the evidence on the land sales. But just try to respond to the question directly, and then we'll continue on with the question, okay? Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, anything else?
Oh, okay. I think what I got out of that number 2, 3, and 4 all outside parking revenue on them. But I guess I'll verbal rebuttal it later, save you some time.
Thank
My
you.
last concern here is to do with the sale dates. Why didn't you find anything that was closer than 4 years old? Were you not aware that during COVID that the parking dropped phenomenally and still hasn't recovered in downtown Winnipeg?
Because it's, I was looking for a land sale closest to the subject property. You know, it's a downtown sale very rarely, and we treasure each one.
Those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Ms. Penner, any questions of the assessor's evidence presented?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just looking at the land sales, your sales 3 and 4 are quite a bit larger than the subject property. Would that impact sort of the holding potential or future redevelopment potential? There's relative to the subject being a smaller parcel.
Yes, but you see, subject property around 5,000 square feet, and first 2 comparables showed range between 128 to 142. His biggest comparables 3 and 4 showed range between 120 and 136. But bottom line, we assess subject property at $100 per square foot. It's much less what presented. It's still for 80,000, should be confirmed. It's fair.
And there was some mention in the previous questioning about assemblage for the subject property. Is it next to other vacant parcels, or is it it's kind of sandwiched between?
It's sandwiched between 2 properties with 4 parking spots.
That's all for me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Penner. Mr. Whitbread, any questions of the assessor?
I have 2 items. One, Ms. Shable, when you're interacting with the applicant, would you not interrupt him, please, or anyone else, but especially him? What's happening for me is when you interrupt, it's just a garble on the screen, because he's talking and you're talking, and we can't understand anything that is being said. So would you agree, please, to let him finish his question before you answer?
Sorry about it. Yes.
Thank you very much. Number two, I'm a little bit confused because I don't know if you're using the income approach, the cost approach, or the land value approach. What is the final number based on? Which approach are you going to use here? Or
I
counting?
use cost approach for 180,000.
No, you're not
Cost
answering, ma'am, you're not answering my question. What approach are you counting on for the number we have in the value column? It's simple. You have three options. Income,
And value comment. I have presented income approach. Income approach doesn't support land value. That one, if you look at income approach, I have to add a manual 160,000. Additional total adjustment. That's why I was looking at land value. Yes, land value for it's on cost approach number 8, 480,000. So subject property assessed at land value by cost approach. We didn't account for 3,000 for parking, for paviting asphalt. So land 480,000, what assessment?
so we're using the land value, just to
Correct.
confirm what you said.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct. Our mass model, if income approach doesn't support land value, it's assessed by land value.
I'm fine with that. I just want to confirm what approach you're using. So in land value, then, you've used 480,000 for a space of 4,835 square feet. Do you know what that value is?
If you open page 10,
Thank you.
first table, it showed paving only, but land value at second table, it showed a net area 4,835 square feet, net rent $99.28, give us land value 480,000.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. I couldn't find it in your report. Thank you very much. I have no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Ms. Shable. Following up on Mr. Whitbread, you presented three approaches to value here, but I suspect this is going to be a recurring theme with your following briefs. So it would be greatly appreciated if you would, for the record, state which approach to value you're using and which calculations we should concentrate on to defend that you're defending the assessed value on. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Okay, and the next point is you presented three approaches to value in your evidence. The applicant, Mr. Newton, was allowed to question those approaches. I think your response is that you're relying on the land valuation only, but you have presented two other methodologies to support the assessed value. Am I right? Why you would present three approaches to value?
I present two approaches to value. If you look on page number 4, I presented.
I know that.
On page number 5, I posted land value on bottom.
Okay, what is the reason for presenting those other valuation approaches? How's that?
Because market income approach doesn't support land value. So
Okay.
model switch from income to land value only.
Okay, and so please state what value you're using in the defense of the assessed value. Then we will-
480,000.
No, but please state it in your presentation so that we're not wondering what value you're using.
Assessed value of land 480,000.
And that's on page 10. As Mr. Whitbread, you just replied to Mr. Whitbread, because you've got all three of them together. You've got detached structures, land value, then you've got land and buildings summary, and then, so we're not sure where the $480,000 is coming from.
If you open page number 5,
Now I understand it. Mr. Whitbread, finally,
land value table I clearly separated.
I would ask you with the upcoming, files that we're gonna be dealing with today to please explain where your valuation is coming from exactly, where the assessment value is coming from exactly, so we know what value you're presenting and how you got there, okay? That's all I'm asking you to do. All right, and I think that's all my questions. Mr. Neufeld, bear with us 1 second, please. And we'll pull up your brief. Mr. Neufeld, when you're ready, please.
Sure, thank you. So subject property, as you can see on the picture on page 2, is between 2 apartment blocks, 36 Navy to the north and 308 Assiniboine to the south. All 3 properties are the same ownership. These are Smith Agency. The blocks have been there since 1926, and so has the parking. This isn't a investment property in terms of trying to flip it and waiting for the next big project to come along to build an office tower. That is never going to happen. These are required for the site. Now the statements just and I guess it hasn't really come up today, but the operating statements are made by the owner, and they do not have breakouts. The reason why is that the tenancy fluctuates on this lot. Sometimes it comes from one building to the north, some come from the south, and they pay their parking in their rent without the breakout on it. The utilities run across the line between the lot to the north. See, 36 Navy to the north has parking, but the power bar runs down the middle of the lots, and the panel for it, the utility pole and the meter is located on the 380 Assiniboine lot. So there's we have virtually all 3 lots sharing the same utilities. So to do a breakdown is very, very difficult. We've done it, experimented with doing it in previous years, but it's not very accurate. There are 14 paid stalls, not 15, and we've been out there with a previous assessor counting them, because this has been the object of some issues regarding classification in the past, because the assessor at one point thought it was commercial, but all the parkers are residential. There is no parking machine for casual parking, nothing of the sort. This is all for the block only. So the income is very difficult to ascertain. One of the things that, and I'm neither supporting nor denying the assessor, but on page 3, this is from the IAAO textbook, and it says for non-agricultural land, the sales comparison approach is the primary approach, and income would be second. It's probably in a property like this, that is probably the way to go. So I don't have any issues with the assessor changing her using that approach. I do have concerns about using it, because you can't do a model-driven valuation of the income and then change it midstream to the direct comparison. But the other issue, the big issue is, as I pointed out, the sales. So the assessor used 2019 and prior sales. In 2020, I don't know where everybody else was, but I was working in my office here on Broadway, and boy, I had a lot of parking stalls to pick from. Some days I was the only person. I got allowed to work in here, and nobody else was. And the income dropped dramatically, as would the sales, as would the income approach. And I think that that's probably what you're going to see is a depressed income approach on parking lots. The sales, when our office did the search for sales, we restricted it to anything after March of 2020. Did not look at a single transaction before, because the impact on downtown parking was pronounced in 2020 and proved semi-permanent in 2023, because there was a definite shift to at-home working in office, and a lot of offices have actually been put up for sale for conversion to multifamily, and you'll find those. I think I've got those at the end of my report. No, I don't. But that's why. Now, I didn't make a distinction between downtown and non-downtown. I simply looked at Ward 12, 13, and 14. And then I noted that there was one in Ward 8 that was close to the downtown. I don't think that one in Ward 6 is worth looking at. That's St. Boniface, too far out. But that's what we decided. And the search parameter was vacant commercial or surface parking. And the code is there. And this gives you an idea what happened to that market for sales after March of 2020. And incidentally, the end date for this was the current date of today. Sorry, no, I misspoke. It was April 1st, 23. This is what happened. So there's a real scarcity of sales, and some of these were development sales. For example, the number 3 and number 4. Well, I know number 4 was developed. Number 5 was for development. So we ended up doing was looking at the vacant commercial, focusing on the surface parking sales, and you can see that the highest rate achieved was sorry, I had it here earlier. It looks like it was $46.24 in the West End. The rest of these were mostly for potential development, usually in multifamily. The only sale of note, which should have been labeled surface parking, is the 4th from the bottom, marked RRCC. So that's land adjacent to Red Rivers building on, and this I think was an old back lane that they purchased that's between their sites. And that did come at a higher rate of $63 a square foot. That pretty much represented the upper end of the market as well, and it is in the downtown area. The limitations on this site are it can't really be sold, because if you do, you lose your apartment income. It's accessory parking. It is never going to be for commercial parking, because there are no commercial users nearby who wouldn't have to cross a busy highway and risk being run over by someone like me driving past. It's an island, and there is no commercial use. The only commercial use nearby is in 280 Broadway, which was Government of Canada, and they have their own lots. So that's a single use. It's on its own is the configuration. If this changed hands and tried to operate as a parking lot, what would happen is the new City of Winnipeg parking bylaw would kick in, and They would have in egress ingress restrictions and width restrictions and fencing restrictions. Likely reduce the yield, but you can obviously see the problem with yield right now in that you only get the single row parking because there's no room to do a drive-by and a park, and that's the limitation on it is parking. This is just for us. It was just looking at the market and the decline post March of 2020, and the surface parking, even outside the city limits, topped out at $46. There's no market evidence on the inner city sales. There weren't any, except for the assemblage of Red River at $63 a foot. I would suggest that as a parking lot, you're probably looking at the lower end of the range, closer to 40. As a piece of land for assemblage, it could go higher. It could hit the $60 mark in this marketplace. And in summation as well, and moving along so we don't have to waste too much time here, the assessor has nothing but old sales when times were happier in the parking world and sales were happening because people were parking, and one was an assemblage, was for development attachment to another site. That doesn't count as a sale. The other three had alternate incomes. Every one of them has a parking ticket kiosk, ticket dispenser on it. One is close to the stadium, one is close to the Goldeye Stadium. And that's an important source of income. They get daytime parking, and daytime parking is I don't know what most people pay downtown. Our office is paying $180 a stall. The tenants in this building are being charged $35 a stall, period. Our building, we get secondary income from event parking and casual parking. So that's the issue with it as a use. It's I don't see it being marketed that it would generate any income, and I don't see it being developed as a piece of land being located between these two buildings because it's too small for any infill development. And on top of it, if you were considering an alternate use, I brought up the topic of 1926 for a reason, because in 1926, the bridge and the almost call it a freeway beside it was not in place. It was a different world, and they built their apartment blocks. You would not build an apartment block there today due to the location. And it is what it is. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Ms. Shabo, any questions on the evidence presented by the applicant?
Yes, please. You would agree that a downtown market and suburban market behave different?
Yes.
It is true that all your land sale are located in suburban areas?
No.
Which downtown? Point to us, please.
Certainly. 315 Elgin, as I pointed out, zero Disraeli parking lot at $28.16 a foot. Sorry, those are the only two that transacted in these
Disraeli
2
was
years.
second.
In the 2 years prior.
What's second property?
Disraeli
Mhm.
in the middle.
Okay, so between $63 and $28 per square foot, but it's not downtown, not close to the subject property, correct?
Well, they're in the central business district and covered by the zoning of downtown zoning bylaw, so they would be considered downtown. And as far as what part of downtown, one would have to determine what the demand for parking was in those two specific areas. Anything near Elgin is going to be heavily influenced by Red River. They've been putting some positive pressure on parking to get it. So those are all separate questions.
Okay, I have rebuttal. Can I ask on rebuttal?
Not yet.
Okay.
Finish questioning of the applicant first.
Oh, I have another questions. On
Okay,
page number 1, we have roll number 12092550550. What property do you present it here? It's not subject property, correct?
Oh, I don't know. I never checked that. That could be an error. Let me just see. No, that's not the correct roll number. It's that's the neighbor property on I believe it's 36 Navy.
No other questions.
thank you, Ms. Shable. Maybe on that point, Mr. Neufeld, so you would correct that roll number because you got the same square footage. Would that
Yeah, it was is just a typo. The roll number is 12092517200, and I believe the assessors got that correct. Yes, it is correct on theirs.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions of the applicant?
Just remind me why the owner could not demolish all the two buildings and put one building up with adequate parking and the rest of it. I missed that in your presentation.
Okay, well, I didn't present that, but there is an answer for that.
Okay.
He would never be permitted to under the affordable housing bylaw to get a permit to demolish existing buildings that provide rental levels at affordable levels would not be granted in order to replace it with something that was geared at getting higher rent, unless, of course, it was in a state of disrepair and condemned. An example of this was our former office where we used to meet Board of Revision at 300 Assiniboine. That was permitted to be demolished because first it was an office and second the city said it was no good. So a big modern high rise went up on it. He would never get permission to do so under the current bylaw.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Ms. Penner, any questions of the applicant?
No questions for me, thank you.
Thank you. So Mr. Neufeld, you're relying on the direct sales comparison approach on vacant land, and you're saying the value should be $40 a square foot. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And your requested value is 193,400. Okay.
That's correct.
And my only other question is, well, two questions. Is this parking lot totally restricted to those apartment blocks, or is there other parking, monthly parking?
No, it's just the apartment blocks are using it. It is not available to anybody else.
Okay, thank you. And your reasoning for using only 20 to 22 sales was because, in your opinion, post-COVID, would that be fair?
Well, you know, of course, our act would dictate to us that we have to reassess every 2 years. So why would we bring in pre-2021 sales and older sales? That applies to a different assessment period. We're supposed to keep up to date. And yes, well, COVID happened in there, and that's what depressed everything. But still, unless you could come to someone and give them a valid reason why an older sale or rent would still be valid today. There are property types where this occurs because they don't trade in the regular market, but not in this case. This is what they were.
In your opinion, if they were closer in proximity to the subject property, would they be usable, do you think? In that earlier time frame?
Sorry, you mean you're talking about the assessor's comparables?
No, no, in your opinion, you restricted it to 2020, let's say.
Right, right.
If there were, that, and when I look at your comparisons, there, not very many of them are close to the subject property.
No, that's fair. That's very fair. But that's not because we were doing it deliberately. We go to the Saver system, we plug in, I want VCOM, CMSP, I want roll numbers starting in 12, 13, and 14, and this is what comes up. We can't make the sales. There's nothing deleted. Oh, I got to tell you, no, I did delete. There was a development sale where it was the one across from the convention center. I did disregard that one because it's a development.
Yeah, okay, I guess my question is, well, I'm not gonna ask you if you restricted it to 2020 sales, your search, but I'm gonna ask you if you saw ones that were from 2019, that were downtown, would you consider them to be market evidence of the subject, for the subject property?
No, because times have changed drastically for downtown. All of the motivations for it. And one of the questions posed earlier, the assessor asked if it's a different area, and of course I agreed. But it's different in that a lot of the office workers have migrated to the suburbs and putting more pressure on parking there. Downtown isn't having the same allure. Well, actually, it hasn't had the same allure since the 1970s, since Eaton's closed down. But any projects that are happening have been few and far in between, and new offices coming with their own parking. And projects like the arena only come around once every 100 years. There's I can put this in perspective, is that when I started at Collier's, we were at 305 Broadway, and I moved there in 2008. And I had to push like crazy to get a parking stall, and I ended up a block away across the street, because that's the only one they could find for me. And then I got kicked out, and they had to find another one. When we moved here in 330 St. Mary, which is in June of 2020, I wanted 4 stalls. They said, sure, where do you want them? I got a choice of 5 lots and 2 inside and 2 inside for you. And that's what happened to the parking world. Didn't even need the mayor's objections on how he hated downtown outside parking. The market looked after it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that concludes my questions. Mr. Neufeld, you had rebuttal, is that right?
No, I had no rebuttal, and just a comment that I heard the assessor requested. I was instructed a day and a half ago by the person who's listening in on this, the appeals manager, that a directive went out saying that if you don't submit rebuttal the day before, it will not be entered, and that apparently is going to go in the official rules of the board. So and that's out of fairness and distribution. So I don't know if you've got that directive or not. So I don't know what the assessor has in rebuttal, but I would probably check with that to see if it's allowed. And I'm not presenting any. I had some I would like to, but
It was Ms. Shable that asked for the rebuttal, Mr. Chair.
I know, I was just making sure that Mr. Neufeld didn't have any rebuttal.
I follow the rules.
That at that, okay. Ms. Shable, where are you? There you are, up there. So you said you have rebuttal of Mr. Neufeld's evidence?
Correct.
Excuse me, Mrs. Harlan, do you have, that rebuttal available to us? Has it been submitted?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I can distribute it.
And could I ask when that was submitted?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Could I ask when that rebuttal was submitted?
Just a moment, please.
Thank you, if possible.
Mr. Chair, the rebuttal was submitted at 11:39 a.m.
Today?
Yes? I think if we need to discuss guidelines for a rebuttal, I think we should take a recess and straighten that out.
I agree. We shall recess and get some clarification on that policy. Yes, please. Thank you, Mrs. Harlan.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll take us offline.
Thank you, Mrs. Harlan, and I'll call the hearing back to order. We're still on file number 24-4375 Navy Way, and we had recessed in regards to whether the assessor would be allowed to present her rebuttal evidence. The panel has decided to allow the rebuttal based on our prior knowledge of the process. And Ms. Shable, when you're ready, your rebuttal, please.
First page.
I'm sorry, I don't have it.
So, Mr. Chair, I can send the rebuttal to everybody.
Oh, okay.
It's okay with you?
Okay.
It won't take very long, just a moment, please.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We will all refresh. I thought we had it, but yeah, okay. Okay, we're at the bottom of the SharePoint page. Rebuttal evidence. Mr. Neufeld, would you have it yet?
No, I'm just sending it to Mr. Neufeld,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Neufeld, please tell us when you've received it.
Sure, I will.
Thank you.
I should warn you, it probably is going to take at least 5 minutes. We have some sort of security check system on attachments, so
Okay.
I don't get them very quickly.
I'm just gonna ask Mrs. Shable. Mrs. Shable, we've got it, the panel has it, and I'm noting that the subject properties, there's 3 named there. Am I right in that?
Correct.
That this will be presented as rebuttal evidence on 3 subject properties. Would you have the file numbers or the item number that's gonna come up for?
I have subject roll numbers.
Yeah, I know. What items, sorry. What items are they? Do you know? First one is number 1. And the next one would be,
If it can be for everyone because it's look like same set of comparables as agent.
6820,
Land.
number 7,
Okay, I just got it.
and the last one is 200. No, that was the last one, 68,200. And 72,200. Oh, that's this one. Okay, so item number 1,
It will be for all 6 briefs to agent briefs because he used same land sale across 6 properties. And we don't have agent evidence for 2 of them.
okay, my problem is that it's gotta be entered in the record for the
Okay,
individual.
for 6 property, number 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8.
1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 8. Okay, all right. I'd appreciate that if you bring that up
Okay.
as being entered into evidence on those properties. Okay, Mr. Neufeld, you are ready to go?
I just got it and I'm,
Okay,
I don't know, I mean, I don't want to make a big deal of it, but it kind of be fair for me to at least get a little bit of time to look at this.
yeah, review it if you wish.
Can I give me 5 or 6 minutes if that's okay?
That's okay. No
Okay.
problem. Perhaps in the meantime, Mr. Neufeld, I'm gonna get the assessor to present the evidence.
Sorry, I figured out one thing here. Okay, and I'm just, okay. I do have a concern here. I'm looking at this information and I'm looking at page 12 and 14. These appear to be no, not 14, but page 12 appears to be some evidence that I have not seen that is not in this particular appeal.
So you haven't presented this evidence to be rebutted.
Well, correct. And I haven't presented 12 nor 14 to be rebutted. And I'm looking at them wondering why they're here. This appears to be new evidence.
Okay.
And also, the other thing I noted was that on page 6, that there appears to be an error in the part of the city recording in that there's a different lot size being reported than the source information. I don't know why that happens, but I thought we used the same database, so I'm gonna object to that unless we can determine how this was determined. I used the data we had.
So you're saying you never presented the square footage relevant to that,
That's correct. It was from the source that we both use, and I don't know. I know that there's a thing in the system where it gives you assessed square footage, and
Sorry, I just didn't present anything. What we talking about?
I,
You waste our time, please. Let's proceed.
Ms. Shable, the applicant has been given time to review your rebuttal and to see if there's anything that he believes he did not present to be rebutted. So that's what we're discussing right now. So let's start with page 6, shall we? And then we're gonna decide whether we're gonna stroke it off the rebuttal and not use it as evident as rebuttal. So start with page 6, Mr. Neufeld.
yeah, page 6. There's two boxes there, and they report a different square footage than I was provided for on the database, which of course is the numbers come from the assessment department. So I'm just kind of wondering, is this coming from what's the source of this?
Which address, please, Mr. Neufeld?
255 Bell and 663 Talbot.
Ones that are boxed out. Okay. Ms. Shable,
Can I proceed with my rebuttal and I will become to page number 6?
pardon me?
Can I proceed with my rebuttal?
No, I'd like you to go to page 6 and answer the the applicant's question on the difference between the square footage.
Before I answer any question, I have to present it. Please allow me present my rebuttal.
No, I'm not allowing you to present it if it's not relevant to what Mr. Neufeld presented. So that's what we're going through right now. So any comments on the square footage that Mr. Neufeld is pointing out?
Let's open page number 6.
Yes.
It's rebuttal on agent evidence. On page number 6, a Johnson report showed sale of 255 Bell and agent, if you open page number 1, it will be a third line.
Okay,
Agent evidence.
Mr. Neufeld, she's saying she got it from the Johnson report.
Okay. So in that case, I thought I wasn't sure if that was the case. There's a within the search system, there's two columns of land sizes. One they call assessment size, and the other is actual size. And this was reported as the actual size at the number I had, which is what we used. And that would have been, I don't know what the source of it would have been. Well, I know the source of it was the system called Sabre. And so if there's a discrepancy and she's using Johnson to validate what the city of Winnipeg actually is one of the contributors to the Sabre system, then that would be incorrect. Just looking at it right now.
Okay, you know what, Mr. Neufeld? Let's make this simpler. You believe that 255 Bell information is wrong and 633 Talbot.
Yeah.
The panel considered that, in your opinion, that it's not accurate, and we'll decide how much weight we're going to put on it. And then now you had page 12 and 14. What was the issue with that information?
This is not rebuttal. I didn't bring up any of these sales.
Okay, so page 12 is, in your opinion, new evidence being presented through the rebuttal.
Yes.
And was it page 14 also?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Ms. Shable, any comment that this isn't rebutting the evidence presented by the applicant?
If you open page 14, 13, 14, it's just specific for subject property. Rent comparables, it's my comparables. I just showed map, Google map, base agent comparables located and our comparables located, my comparables
Yeah,
located.
okay, so that's not rebutting what the applicant presented. Is that correct? Would you agree?
It's my evidence.
Okay, yeah.
And
So-
I didn't, I presented them already. Just
Okay,
visual picture, location.
we're gonna not apply any weight to pages 12 through 14 in the rebuttal. So I'd ask that be removed from the rebuttal or evidence stroked out from that.
12 and 14, it's my evidence. You can see it, assessment evidence.
I know, but that's, okay. It's not rebuttal of the applicant's evidence, so it's not rebuttal, so we're gonna ignore it in this document. Okay,
Okay,
Ms.
can I
Shable,
start it?
yes, you can, thank you.
You can see on page number 1, agent evidence. We have several comparables and some land sale on same street. So on page number 1, we separate few comparables of similar by each street one time. It's 626 McDermott, 835 Notre Dame, 255 Bell, 425 Wardlaw, 198 Sherbrooke, 93 State End, 547 Desmel Row, and 379 Cell Creek. If we go on page number 2, and red dot on this map, subject property Navy Way, and all black dot, white dot, it's agent street where is his comparables located. So we can see everything outside downtown area. Cell Creek, Tail Bar, it's Cell Creek, Notre Dame, it's North End. We have Talbot Avenue, Desmarais, it's another side, it's east side of the city. Sherbrooke, McDermott, it's west side of the city. So all far away from the subject property, we know that suburban area cars, their sale much lower compared to downtown sale market, because in downtown less property for sale and price much higher. So all agent comparables, land sale comparables inferior and should have significant adjustment upward.
Okay,
On page number 3, it will be same set of comparables for 245 Princess Avenue, I can skip. On page number 4 for Arthur, I can skip. So on page number 5, it's a set of comparables presented by agent. There we have on page number 6, it's Johnson report. If agent showed that 255 Bell, it's a third line of agent brief, page number 1, showed $77.60. Original price $78.78. Also, we have 663 Talbot Elmwood. Agent showed that they sell for $82.55. It was sale for $102.03. So outside suburban land sale between 80 to 100 per square foot, it should be significant upward adjustment for land sale in downtown where we have scarcity of land for sale already. On page number 7, I just checked for this tail bar. Yes, they was sell in 2000, confirmed 2020, $309,980. So it's the same sale.
Okay,
So I pay attention to it. On page number 8, you can see Delbar Avenue. It's a rectangle shape of land, and it's on Green Delbar Avenue. We see only two small rectangle red color. It's a commercial land. Right now we have a bi-level residential building. And let's look on page number 9, 255 Bell Avenue. If agent says sale for $77, Johnson reports $78.78, and we have construction on top. Rest, and I can see on page number 10, it's our record showed instrument number for 1.4 million, 5157926. So it's eligible sale. Rest on 11, it's my comparables.
okay, we're not gonna compare.
It's for another property. On page number 14, it's my comparables was presented for subject property on Hargrave St. Mary Pioneer Banatine.
Okay,
And
that's,
13, you see location of my comparables.
again, that's your
Close to
evidence.
the subject property.
Not
Thank
re-
you.
Okay,
Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Newfeld, any questions on the assessor's rebuttal?
Just a clarification. I objected to those comments on Bell and Talbot. What did the board decide?
We decided that we would allow it with the understanding that you've objected to it, and we'll decide how much weight to put on.
Oh,
Correct.
okay. And I don't want to beat this thing to death.
Yeah,
You did allow a very late submission of rebuttal, and I just responded to the rebuttal with my own email, and I sent it to the board. So essentially, the mistake, there is no mistake on square footage. What I sent you was the precise number that the data system, not what Mr. Johnson put in. I like Mr. Johnson and he does good work, but he missed the boat here because you can see that the numbers are exactly as quoted from the data system. However, I am going to withdraw both sales on one, the Talbot on the ground that it is not a market sale. You'll note in what I sent in, I just put it in from the data search. I didn't research it. It's
Okay.
marked FST, which is a transfer, a family transfer,
okay,
not a sale.
okay,
Withdraw. And then Bell, I didn't know this. It was an assemblage for an apartment block. I sent you a picture of the block they built on it. They bought the whole block. That's not a one, so I'm withdrawing both of them. So hopefully does that shorten matters?
yes,
Okay, great. That's all I have to say.
thank you. Ms. Penner, any questions on the rebuttal presented by the assessor?
No questions for me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread.
I have none either, thank you.
And I have none either. Okay. I think I'm safe to assume that is the end of the presentation. Does either party require a summary?
Yes,
Ms. First,
can I proceed?
yes, summary, please, Ms. Shable.
Our job here today is to analyze the market evidence and determine the best conclusion of market value. My opinion of value supported of land sale closest to the subject property. The agent as sales all located outside downtown suburban office, suburban market that inferior to the subject property in required a significant upward adjustment. based of my evidence, okay. Agent evidence, suburban evidence showed range between $70 per square foot to $100 per square foot plus significant upward adjustment. Very well support our assessment, $99.28. Based on my evidence analysis, April 1st, 2023 market value of subject property is 480,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld,
Yes, well, the task was to look at the value in 2023, not 2017, 18, and 19. Markets change and the downtown office changed. The assessor did not provide you an accurate picture. And it doesn't matter if you want to think you've been adjusted higher or lower or sideways. You just can't use it because it's too old. What was presented to you was a true picture of a market, zero activity. We had such limited sales, and I put in the Suburbans. Well, that's what was out there. The parking lot sales were around the $40 mark, and the only sale from downtown area was the Red River one at $61 a foot. And I know that that's an assemblage sale because it's on their campus, and I have a difficult time putting reliance on assemblage sales because there's always a premium on them. Otherwise, had it not been for Red River purchasing it between their buildings, it would have been a good sale to look at. And that's why we went to the other premises of value, which is at $40. Honestly, today it's somewhere between 40 and 61. I don't have a problem saying that, but that's what's happened to our downtown parking market with current sales. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Neufeld. That concludes item number 1, file number 24-4375. Next item on the docket is item number 2, file number 24-3913. It's a 2025 realty assessment liability and classification appeal. So we have 3 applications for appeal on this property. We're dealing with 2025 and the roll numbers 130-608-97100. Mr. Ratton, I understand you're going to be presenting this property. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Okay. And just to confirm, the rebuttal evidence is going to be entered into evidence for this property, the same as you just entered for item number 1?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Rattan, Mr. Neufeld, could I ask, did you file the appeal for liability and classification?
Yes, we did, and this is a parking lot for 54 Arthur next door, and there are some tenants in there that we had to review the class and liability, and it hasn't come to hearing yet. And obviously, as an associated parking lot, the exemption transfers over. We haven't worked up to that level yet. So the appeal is valid, but unfortunately I have nothing to present to you today because we haven't got there yet. So we'll just let it, you can rule on it. I did not bring you evidence, but I think if we do Arthur and we discover it, then we'll go back to the city and see if we can make an arrangement of some sort. In the meantime, we have the right to appeal a liability to Court of Appeal and class to the municipal board. But we'd like to retain.
All right, so we will rule on your request with no evidence presented to us today for the liability and the classification. So we are just dealing with the realty valuation on the property. Mr. Ratton, please allow us to get to that, to your brief, please. Mr. Ratton, when you're ready, please.
File number 24-3913, roll number 130-6089-7100. The property owner is Arthur Street Parking Lot, Inc. We are here for 2025 assessment value for $1,282,000. It's a surface parking lot with a 10,291 square feet area with an NCA code of 170 Exchange District.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Rattan, maybe before we start, I haven't reviewed your brief yet. Are you going by the income approach to value?
So I have both the approaches in my brief.
Yes.
The property was valued using land approach. If you allow me, I would like to present both the approaches, but the main focus should be on our land value approach.
Land value, so you're basing your defense of the assessment on the land value portion, okay?
Yes,
Thank
please.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, not a problem. Shall I begin?
Yes, please proceed.
So onto the page second, we see there is a map for the city of Winnipeg, which shows that the subject property is in Exchange District. On the page 3, we see the aerial photographs which show the parking lot as rectangular in shape. We have an aerial photograph showing that it's a parking lot with so many cars parked in. Page 4 shows that it's zoned as C, character sector, intending to encourage a compatible fine-grained mix of uses rather than a separation of use in the diverse area. The built form is key in this sector, ranging from the compact massing of the Exchange District to the monumental Tyndall stone buildings near the legislative buildings to the engaging variety of building and structures at the Forks. Urban design review is intended to reinforce the valued current built forms, including enhanced pedestrian comfort. Now, we are beginning with the income approach. So we valued, there were 40 stall counts, which had a monthly net rent for $80. We have a cap rate of 4.5%, which gave us a capitalized value of $853,000. This value wasn't supported by our models, so we had to do some adjustments for land, which amounted to $429,000. So the total value came up as in $1,282,000. We just presented this value to show how income approaches and supporting the value for this parking lot. Now we have rent comparables based on income approach. I found out 6 comparables. They are located on 124 Bannatyne, 168 Edmonton Street, 160 Donald Street, 325 York Avenue, 155 Gary Street. So most of the comparables have the parking lot size from 25 to 124 store counts, which average the mean at $156 per month and a median of $116. Now on to the page 6, we have a small paragraph. It says land valuation. In this, we can see that we have a net area of 10,291 square feet, which was calculated, which is based on a net rent of $124.57, which brings the land value at $1,282,000, which is same as the value of our subject property. Now moving on to the page 9, we valued this property based on the land value. So we have a total depreciated cost of $20,000. The land value is at $1,282,000, which brings a total value of $1,300,002. Now looking at some land comparables. So I have 4 comparables here. The address is 44 Hargrave Street, 240 St. Mary's, Pioneer Avenue, 124 Bannatyne Avenue. My land comparables for the first land comparable has a land area of 6,034 square feet, which was sold back in 7th April 2017 with the consideration value of $858,500. The sale price per square foot was $142.28. The next comparable at 240 St. Mary's had an area of 3,029 square feet, which was sold back in 24 Jan of 2019 The consideration value was $390,000. The sale price per square feet was $128.76. The next comparable is at Pioneer Avenue with a land area of 27,811 square feet, which was sold back in 14th August 2019. It was sold for $3.8 million, which brings the sale price per square feet as $136.64. The last comparable is located at 124 Bannatyne with a land area of 30,110 square feet, sold back in October 2019, sold for $3.64 million with a sale price of $120.89. Now, if we have a mean of those sale prices, we come at $132.14, which is far more than what we valued our subject property. Our subject property was again valued at $124.57. So if we confirm that the valuation for this property was accurate and fair to looking at the market prices. Now going forward from page 18 till page 26, I have the comparable pictures which show that how the different comparables are in size, what kind of their use are. So if we just scroll to page 18, we see that most of the lots are rectangular in shape and have the parking lots with the car park inside them. But I would like to bring some significance on the land comparable pictures, which are located on page 23. So to begin with, we have the first land comparable 44 Hargrave, which was first used as a vacant land, but now we have a building on it, which we could say that it was an assemblage because of which there was a building on the top of it. Because it looks like there were two parcels that were joined together. 240 St. Mary's, again, it's a vacant land and there was no construction done on it till now. Same goes for Pioneer, it's vacant land used as a parking lot. And 124 Bannatyne, again, it's a parking lot and it's being used for parking the cars in. So to conclude, I would ask the board to confirm the value for 2025 assessment at $1,282,000, which came up using land value approach. Thank you.
Thank you to the assessor. Mr. Neufeld, any questions of the assessor's evidence presented?
Yes, which one of these, sorry, did I mute here? No, okay. Which one of these two methods was used to create the roll?
Land value.
Land value, so why isn't it assessed at 1,302,000 then?
Because we actually ignored the valuation for the building first. We didn't include because there wasn't any significance for the building. Because it's a total depreciated cost of $20,000. We didn't account for that, and we only considered the land value for the subject property.
Okay. But you did say you wanted to present both approaches, correct?
Yep, yes.
Now on page 1, you state 40 stalls. I'm wondering if you actually took the trouble to count the number of stalls in your picture. Page 3.
No, I haven't counted the car spot there.
You realize there's only 38 stalls?
Like I said, I haven't counted them, so I can't say whether there are 38 or 40 right now. We are just going based on the database that we have in our system.
May I step in? Let's please open page number 3. Right at top corner. We will count car on north. First line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. 10 clear in one row. 10 by 4, 40 stalls. Period.
Can you, you're stepping in and you're not doing this right. You should
It's
look
it's my brief.
look at the end of the middle row. That's That's a drive-through lane. And if you'd actually taken a picture from the winter, you would see the tracks where the cars turn around. That is not a stall at the end. There are 38 stalls.
We have 4 line by 10 car,
Okay,
Okay.
simply, just by count car.
Shall we,
And-
shall we consider it asked and answered?
okay,
How's that?
okay. All right, fine. Now, in the evidence, there is a return, and on the bottom of the return, it says data was consolidated with 54 and 70 Arthur. Did you review the statement to see how much they actually earned from parking?
That would be a yes or a no from either, or I guess, Mr. Rattan. Did you read
What page are we referring here?
It's income.
the income and expense statement? There's a statement.
Let's open page 16 and come approach return to us 0 information. We can ask for penalty easily.
Did you review it or not? Yes or no?
No, because it's no information provided for us.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, anything else?
Yes, I have in front of me that return, which indicates gross income of $17,020. So you did not review the actual income, and you put is this a table rate of 38,400 on it?
We assess subject property land value income approach as artificial here.
Are you withdrawing the income approach?
We assess at land value 1,282,000.
The chairman at the beginning of this hearing gave you the
Because you can
opportunity.
see that income approach doesn't support
But the
land
chairman gave you the opportunity at the beginning of this approach to make that determination, and you chose to go with both. So
Yeah, we can go both, or we can use free approach. It's up to
If
us
you're
how
go-
to defend.
if you're going with both, then I'm going to ask on both. If you're withdrawing it, we'll move to land. So you're still going with both?
Both.
Okay. And what is this adjustment of 429,000? Where does that come from?
It's by income approach. We estimate only only $853,333 just doesn't support land value. To bring to land value 1,282,000, we have to do adjustment. And you can see on my comparables number 5, media 156.
Where did it come from?
Net operating income $156, and we assess only $80. So if I go inside and do adjustment for our income approach, it will be close to land value.
Where
Because
is
market
the,
evidence showed much higher that we do market income approach. That's why we really rely on land value on page number 6 at $184.52.
You know what I'm gonna ask? Mr. Rattan is presenting this this file. I would ask that he respond to the questions, please.
My colleague under training, I support him.
Okay, then please answer the question where that adjustment to total $1,282,000 came from.
To bring income approach to 1,282,000 our assessment.
So did you take the total assessment minus the income approach to come up with the balance that the numbers that Mr. Neufeld is at? Correct? Okay, thank you. Well, that was easy. Simple.
it was easy because you asked the leading question and I was, but you got the answer.
Okay.
Now the same questions that I asked earlier on these sales, is this located next to anything that would have it derive casual rental value?
It's located very close to the subject property.
I meant, we talked earlier about, these are the same comparables. One is by the arena, one is by the Goldeye Stadium. And the other, I think, is is, okay, is near, the Forks. How much income does the site generate from casual parking?
I don't have information about it. I know that average $132 per square foot, and we assess $10 less. It's fair.
So you have no ratios of casual parking to office parking that you could compare this to?
Some ratio we can find on page number 5. We can see on Banatime $96.26, on Edmonton $82, on Donald $318.95, on York Avenue $210.22. It's stabilized net operating income per stall per month.
So what are you talking about? This is are you referring to these rental rates on page 5?
Correct.
Okay, so all of these are much higher than what you have for the subject at $80. Is the subject a parking lot?
That's why it's $18 should be much higher to support assessed value, to support land value of subject property.
Well, what were the reported rates? Did you research the reported rates in the subject?
On page number 5, we have 6 comparables, showed average $156. 156.
I see an
net operating income.
I see an in-park sign on your picture. Did you review what in-park was asking for rental?
It's a land sale or parking sale. It's not by income.
Did you research the parking rates from in-park?
No.
Okay. How long has this been a parking lot?
If you open page number 1, 1965.
What was on it before 1965?
I don't know.
Those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Mr. Whitbread, any questions of the assessor?
I have none. Thank you.
Ms. Benner, any questions of the assessor?
Yes, please. Just in regards to regarding your comparable sales for your land value approach. I think it's been established that your properties are reasonably close to the subject, but the sales are dated. Would it be appropriate to apply some sort of time adjustment to the sales to account for market conditions since those sales?
Yes, it would be a right way to do it, adjustment for time, but I don't have support evidence for this time adjustment.
That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Ratton. I think these are simple questions to answer. You are assessing the lot is 10,291 square feet, and you're using a rate of $124.57 a square foot. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the comps you provided to support that assessment value per square foot range from $121 to $142,000. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. And one of you made the statement about the $20,000 dropped off. I assume that was for plugs and costing of plugs and that thing, kind of the plugs and the fencing.
Yes, it would be for like the small building accessories that they have on the parking lot.
It's not included. You've used the.
Yeah, we are only valuing it based on the land value.
Okay. I believe that's all my questions. Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, bear with us 1 second here and we'll get your brief up. Okay, Mr. Neufeld, when you're ready, please.
Thank you. Again, what we're dealing with is another property that has parking that is well outside the prime downtown areas. It's not close to anything that drives would drive it for secondary business. The numbers which the city has, so that this isn't new evidence for them, But they brought up the income approach. $15,120 is the parking rental from the tenants in the building. $1,899 is their casual parking, for a total of $17,019 per year gross. 17,000 gross. So when we saw these numbers, it's obviously not generating a great deal of income as a parking lot. And we went to look at the land sales as well, and the approach was the same as before. And of course, we noted that we're not going to use Bell or Talbot, which is fine because we weren't relying on them anyway. We're looking at surface parking in and around the downtown area. And for example, the 626 McDermott, yes, it's outside downtown. It's closer than in usage than the ones the assessor brought up. It's the same issues as before. There were no sales of downtown parking. I did mention that there was a sale of a building development site across from the convention center. It doesn't count. It's for building development. So we're left with the same old ones. And again, it's the same issue. We have one sale, actually close by on Elgin, Red River, an assemblage sale. And again, I can't, in all good conscience, I can't say we should ever use an assemblage sale because it's differently motivated. We're estimating a rounded amount of $40 a foot. And to put that in perspective, if you took their actual income of $17,000 and applied the assessment department parameters to it, and incidentally, that's 17,000 gross, not net. Even with an advantageous expense ratio, a very low one, of 20 to 30%, it's still going to be $12,000 a year in income. And even if you use the city's cap rate, of course, I don't agree with it, but that's only going to put the value to $250,000. That's what it's worth as a parking lot. Bottom line is, it's been a parking lot since at least 1965. There's no alternative use to it. I would suggest, based on 60 years of being there, other than providing parking for the buildings next door as an amenity. The mistake made here again with the assessment department is using old sales from a better time period. Yes, they should be adjusted downwards because that's what happened to the market. And take a look at sales, the sales, and what's the desirability for development there, and who could the potential users be. Can you just imagine if somebody's got a parking lot that is earning a great deal of money, saying, well, I think I'll buy that Arthur instead because I like parking lots that only generate $12,000 a year. That's the problem with their approach. They're not all the same. This is a poor performing one, 60 years of poor performance. So it's I think that says it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McFeld, excuse me. Does the assessor have any questions of the applicant's evidence presented?
I have two questions.
Thank you.
So the first question would be the numbers that Mr. Newfield were talking about during their brief. I couldn't see them anywhere on his brief other than land sales. So I'm unsure what they were referring to and what pages they were referring to at that time, because I don't have those briefs in front of me.
Well, I will take that as a question. And one of the things I mentioned earlier is the concept of rebuttal and not providing in time. Nothing prevents us from doing verbal rebuttal. If it's verbal rebuttal to the assessor's decision to present the income approach, then I presented the actual income.
Mr. Rath? Go ahead, please.
That should be all for me.
Okay, that's your only question. Okay, thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions of the applicant?
No, I'll leave it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Penner, any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, sorry. Mr. Chair,
Yes,
one very niggly point here.
okay.
On Mr. Neufield's evaluation, he suggested 410. I think if that value he calculated was 411.6 something, it should be 412.
Okay,
I don't think we round up to the 10,000s.
okay.
Mr. Neufeld, is that?
I don't have any comment on that. I think the rounding is, it'll take half an hour to talk about what the Appraisal Institute says about rounding, but you round up if you think that there's an upside, you round down if you think there's a downside. I don't mind either way.
I said a niggly point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's me, and I have no questions. Ms. Shable, are you gonna enter into record your, excuse me, your rebuttal to Mr. Neufeld's sales? Would that be the same?
Yes, same rebuttal.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Harlan, do we have that, Mrs. Harlan, pardon me, do we have that, registered for the record?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld? I assume, okay, Mr. Whitbread, any questions on the rebuttal?
No, thank you.
Ms. Penner, any questions?
I guess it's just a bit of a follow-up to my question on the evidence. Just, it seems that the main argument is location versus recency of sales. So I had asked you before about whether you think it's appropriate to time adjust those sales, but do you have any comment on what you think the market has done over the past 4 to 5 years since your last sales?
And sales in downtown much superior to suburban sales because we have not so many land left for sale, and usually parking lot it's a placeholder for future development. And usually that because we have scarcity of land for sale, it's going much up. So all comparables land sale of agent outside downtown should be significant upward adjustment to the subject property.
Thank you. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld? Anything response?
I don't disagree. It's a placeholder for future development. 60 years is an awful lot of time to be sitting there holding the ball, waiting for the kicker.
Okay. All right. Mr. Neufeld, do you have any rebuttal?
No.
Okay.
Information.
All right. Do we require a summary, Ms. Shable?
Yes, please. You like?
Or have you just made it by saying the downtown values are more valuable than the outliers? But that,
So our job here today is to analyze the market evidence and determine the best conclusion of market value. My evidence showed that downtown land, at least for subject property, should be sale for $125 per square foot. And agent evidence showed all sale outside downtown, a lot of sale on North Main Street. We know that this sale should be a very significant upward adjustment. So based off my evidence analysis, the 2025 assessed years of subject property, 1,282,000 land value only.
thank you. Mr. Neufeld, summary?
Yes, the bottom line on everything in real estate is money. The assessor's own calculation showed they thought 38,000 per year net was a potential. The actual was about 12,000 a year. Both numbers do not support a higher land value, and there will not be an artificial white knight coming in and buying your parking lot for 50 to 100% more than it's worth because you've got some 5-year-old land sales. It's a depressed piece of property, and it's what the market is. Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Okay, that concludes item number 2. File number 24-3913. Are we okay to proceed for one more?
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, okay, everybody's good. Okay, so we're gonna go next to item number 3. File number 24-4042. The address is 245 Princess Street. And we're dealing with a 2025 Realty Assessment Appeal. Mr. Ratton, when you're ready, please.
File number 24-4042, roll number 13081489000, address 245 Princess Street, owners Shanghai Restaurant Limited. The realty assessment for 2025 based on April 1, 2023 is $422,000. It's a surface parking lot with a 6,685 square feet. Its NCA is 172 Chinatown. On page 2, we have some pictures for the subject property showing that the lot is rectangular in shape. Page 3 has an aerial photograph showing there are cars parked in the parking lot, which has fence around the lot. Page 5 shows that its zone has character sector intended to encourage a compatible fine-grained mix of use rather than a separation of uses in these diverse areas. The build form is key in the sector, ranging from the compact massing of the Exchange District to the monumental Tyndall stone buildings near the Legislative Building, to the engaging variety of the building and structures at the forks. Urban Design Review is intended to reinforce the valued current build forms, including enhanced pedestrian comfort. Again, there are I'm gonna present 2 approaches for the valuation, income and land, but our property is valued at land only. So the valuation came from the land value approach. To begin with the income approach, we have number 17 as store count, which were rented out at $38.25. We had an overall cap rate for 5%, which brings the value at $156,000. This value is not supported, and that's why we have to value the subject property using land value. Again, I have some rent comparables for the income approach. So my rent comparables are 308 Admin Street, 105 Galt Avenue, 248 Sherbrooke Street, Spence Street, 215 Good Street. The store count starts from number 10 till 71. This gives a mean average for $56.47 per store per month and a median for $44.84. If we compare these numbers to our subject property number, it's $38.25, which is way less than what the market is predicting right now. Now on page 7, we have a small paragraph showing the land valuation, which says that we have 6,685 square feet rented out at $63.30, which brings the land value at $422,000. Now moving on to the page 11, we say that there is a depreciated cost for the detached structure for $6,000. The land is valued at $422,000. The total value comes at $428,000. We are again ignoring the $6,000 for all the small accessories on the lot. Now coming on to the page 11. We have some land comparables. They are located at Pioneer Avenue, 124 Bannatyne, 127 Bannatyne, 170 Bannatyne, and 360 Hargrave. So our first comparable has a land area of 27,811 square feet, which was sold back in 14th August 2019 for the consideration value of $3.8 million, which brings the sale price per square feet as $136.64. The second comparable, 124 Bannatyne, it had a land area size of 30,110 square feet, which was sold back in October 2, 2019 for $3.64 million. The sale price per square feet is $120.89. The third comparable is 127 Bannatyne, again with the land area of 12,637 square feet. This was sold back in October 9, 2019 for $1.2 million with the sale price per square feet for $94. The fourth comparable is at 360. The fourth comparable is at 170 Bannatyne for 11,140 square feet. Sold again on 9 October 2019 for $1,060,000 with that sale price per square feet for $95. The last comparable is at 360 Hargrave Street, which has a 35,997 square feet. Sold back in 14 Jan 2022 with a sale price per square feet for $83.34. If we have a mean of all the sale prices, we come at $106.20. If we go back, or if we go on to page 12, the second paragraph shows the land valuation. It says that our net area was 6,685 square feet, which is calculated at $63.13 with a land value for $422,000. So we say that our land valuation for $63 is justifiable because it's much lower than the land comparables. Now on page 30, we have the income and expense mailer provided by the owner. As it says, it's fully owner occupied and it is rented out at monthly rent for $105. But again, our land, the pricing for our land and for the income is much lower than what is being rented out. Now onto the page 17 till page 28, we have different pictures for our rent comparables showing most of the comparables are parking lots and they have cars parked in it. Most of the lots are rectangular in size, same as subject property. So in the end, I would like to conclude that so on page 24, we have land comparables. To begin with, the first comparable at Pioneer Avenue, it's rectangular in shape. It has never been developed till now, and it has cars parked in before and right now too. 124 Bannatyne, same as earlier old comparable. There is no development done on the parking lot. They have cars parked on it. 127 Bannatyne. Earlier it was used as a parking lot, but right now there's a small development going on. 170 Bannatyne, it is the same used as a parking lot, no development done. And the last one, 360 Hargrave, same thing. It was used as a parking lot and it is again used as a parking lot, no development done on this lot too. So to confirm, at the end, I would like the board members to keep the assessment value for 2025 has $422,000 for the subject property. Thank you.
Thank you to the assessor. Mr. Neufeld, any questions of the assessor's evidence presented?
Yes, so just let's clarify this again? Are you relying on both approaches?
So I presented both the approaches, but the subject property has been valued at land approach, using land approach.
Okay, you've presented both. And the income that you have here, $7,803. So what was your actual income as stated on page? Did you do the calculation pages 15 and 16? I have $3,655. Is that correct?
Page 16, right? I don't see those numbers. Could you just refer me back where the numbers are?
Page 15. This was the return that was presented to you showing revenues of $10,064 for December for 2022's total income annual. Then page 16, the expenses to apply for that period are $6,409.23 for a difference of $3,655 in income.
Yep. Yes, please.
Okay, so they're declaring 3,600 in net income, and the model has it at 7,803, which is more than double, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, and this adjustment, was this created in the same manner as the last adjustment was?
Yes, please. But again, as per the income and expense mailer, the parking is being rented out at $105 as a monthly rent,
Right.
right?
Okay.
And and since as per the photographs, I don't think so that there would be so much expense to just maintain that parking lot, because there is no signs for such high-tech technology being used there. It's just a vacant land with the fence around the corners.
So they don't have to pay taxes?
They have to pay the taxes for sure,
What
but
about
all
snow
the
removal?
expenses, doesn't seem feasible to me.
Okay, so they don't have to pay for snow removal.
I can't verify what that statement.
Okay. Do you have anything evidence to suggest to support your opinion?
Yeah, and again, I don't have that, and I don't have any evidence for that, but again, we valued this property on land, not on income approach.
On page 13, this is the return from the owner who pays the income, who pays the property taxes of $6,440, which further reduces the net income to a negative $3,000. Do you doubt that?
No,
Okay.
We didn't consider it because our assessment on land value.
And on that page, they state 15 parking stalls and you have 17, correct?
correct.
In regard to the sales, sorry, just I'll have to get to that page. The first two sales we've seen before, correct?
Just 1 second, please. Yes, please.
And So, what would be, are there any draws near the subject property that would enhance its parking ability?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I have not pronounced.
Um, the, uh, earlier, there was some bouncing back and forth about market values and the change in time. What do you have to say about the fact that your sale that's closest to the reference date is the lowest value per square foot of all the sales presented so far today?
Because of the land area, that is 35,000 square feet, 36,000 approximate. So that's a lot, that's a big parcel of land to be sold.
I'm sorry, how do you arrive at that? What's the underlying thinking on that? I don't understand.
Because it has a higher land, so it's a bigger investment, I would say, and that's why it would be sold for lesser amount as compared to the shorter amount, the small size of the lot.
Are you aware that in urban land situations that the cost of acquiring land actually drives larger lots to being worth more money than smaller lots?
It wasn't a part of evidence, and
Well, for example, a Hydro building and True North building hit high water marks for land sales of well over $100 a square foot because they needed a large chunk of land. You don't think that a large chunk of land would command a higher price than a small one?
but those properties aren't part of my aren't part of my evidence, I should say.
Well, yes, but you're bringing forth a theory that that is dubious, and I'm challenging your theory with examples.
Mr. Neufeld, maybe we'll consider it asked and answered.
Okay.
Might not be happy with the answer, but.
Oh, no, it's yeah, I get it. Okay, that's fine. Then, these particular lots that you're listing in your comparable sales, do you have the incomes from them?
No,
Well, I'm just wondering if you used any other element of comparison other than a per square foot. If they sold as parking lots, as described here, would not the purchaser have made his decision based on the income they earn?
I don't know about that.
Okay,
Its average showed over $100 per square foot, and we are saying $63 per square foot. It's fair.
yeah, it's not what I asked. Okay, those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Ms. Penner, any questions of the applicant?
Yes, thank you. My question, I guess, follows a similar line. Just, I was wondering if you could speak to the difference between your land sale comparable 3 and your land sale comparable 6. So that would be Valentine and Hargrave. Just based on the information in the table, they're similar, similar zoning. You know, they're both over 30,000 square feet. I would consider them both kind of in the larger realm of sites. And so I'm just wondering what the difference is between those two sales, if it's not time influenced, that there would be such a substantial difference in price per square foot between those two sales when the characteristics of them seem to be quite similar.
First, yes, they have very close area, 30,000 and 36,000. One difference that Bannatyne located east from the main street and Hargrave east from main street. This area different because you can see most of sale right now happen on Bannatyne. Only this
So you would say that Hargrave is an inferior location to Valentine?
But it's a little bit different neighborhood. If you can see, if Hargrave 169, it's 170 only. So location more influenced by price.
You'll
Would
have to
eventually,
forgive my ignorance, I
Yeah.
don't know what 170, 169 is, so.
if you're looking same on Bannatyne, so bigger. Because right now a lot of construction happen on Bannatyne, a bigger lot, higher price, 120 compared to 94. And Hargrave, it's a very good sale. It showed that at least $43 per square foot with this subject. And we assess only 63. So we
So there's more redevelopment happening in the Valentine area.
yes.
Um,
And also our subject property less than 7,000 square feet.
would you say the relatively small size of the subject property would limit any future redevelopment?
Yes, it's effective.
And then just one other question in terms of when you talk about these sites, whether or not they've had development, do you look strictly at the aerial shots to see if construction has started, or are you looking at preliminary permit application?
Usually we look if it's previous was some building. Sometimes sale happen, it's land sale, but all building demolished right away after sale. I look at 40s. But agent every time ask what happens to this property. That's why I showed current photo, what's happening now. It's post-reference information, but at least I have answer for questions.
Thank you, that's all for me.
Thank you, Ms. Penner. Mr. Whitbread, any questions of the assessor?
Yes, Mr. Rattan, I'm looking at page 6 of your evidence. This is your market income summary. And I note that the cap value is 156,000 after you present your evidence. And you make an adjustment of $265,940. Now, I must have missed something because I don't know how you came to this number. Can you share with me what this number is comprised of?
Yeah, so this number was so our value for the subject property was $422,000.
No, the capitalized value is $156.60 under the market income. And you put an adjustment on it.
Yes, and we did the adjustment to support the income value. Because income value wasn't supporting the subject property's value, since this property is valued at land only. We use land value approach to assess the property, not
So you took the land value and subtracted the capitalized value.
Yes.
To come up with an adjustment, you call it.
Yes.
And there's nothing in that adjustment, no value items in that adjustment, other than subtracting the capitalized value from the land value.
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Mr. Rattan, in summary, you're valuing the property at 6,685 square feet at $63.13 to come up with a value of $422,000 based on the comps that sold between $84 to $136. In your opinion, it's lesser value at this location that justifies the $63.13 per square foot. Is that accurate?
Yes, please.
Perfect, thank you. Mr. Neufeld, when you are ready, please.
Sorry, I just had a redirect. There was a comment about 360 Hargrave being inferior.
Okay,
And so my question would be, do either of the assessors know who was parking there?
No.
No, so you're not aware that was the federal government department. They've changed the name of it. I think it's called ISC now. It used to be Indigenous and Northern Affairs. So you weren't aware it was a federal lease?
And you talk about 360 Hargrave. If you open page 28, it's parking lot, no construction on top of it.
That's not what I
During
said.
sale
Are
incurred.
you aware that it was rented by the federal government for parking for its building at 365 Hargrave?
No, it's not relevant for our land assessment.
No, Mr. Neufeld, the answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Neufeld, when you're ready, please, 245 Princess.
Certainly. The property is, oh, we have a really old picture in there. It's was originally owned by the Shanghai restaurant, and Shanghai closed in 2013. So I don't know where they got that picture from. It's dated 2015. It was one of their parking lots. Shanghai has been there since 1888. And the building finally got demolished, and it's been up an awful long time. The building and its attached lot was sold in 2013. This lot, Mr. Lee hung on to it as hopefully a revenue source, which by the looks of the statements was not a good idea. I can tell you that that particular sale in 2013 sold at $36.18 a square foot. That's historical information, just to put it in perspective. The lots, again, there's been no change, no new data, and I was just looking for the assessor's data on 360 Hargrave, and it never showed up on the database search system. So I imagine it was treated under a different manner, or maybe it didn't go through titles. I don't know. It is of interest, but as rebuttal, as well as that I'm bringing this up, that 365 Hargrave across the way was a building that was renovated and added on to for a long-term lease with Northern Affairs, and this is their parking lot across the street. So it has a better value because it turns more money. The feds pay required under their collective bargaining agreements to provide parking for all of their employees. They need it whether they use it or not, and therefore the return rates on the earnings are pretty good rents. So we're looking again at the same thing. This is just another little orphan property. Point out that that there again we had a difference in car parking from what was reported. We have a net loss on earnings, and the lot itself is not. I mean, there might be some sort of redevelopment play on this, but it's going to be for an inferior user. There were some sales down the street for larger lots for I think it's a seniors living project and care home. And just as a verbal testimony, in urban areas, and actually in most real estate, the whole concept of economy of scale is abused. It's not the bigger you get, the less you pay. What it really, that theory relates to is that if you have a lot to sell in a lot of quantity, you will be driven to a lower rate for the bulk buyer. But that's not, in urban settings, that's not what counts, because most of the time it's going to be an assemblage project, hydro, True North. And the first one I ever did as an appraiser was the hotel on Main Street. And it's a phenomenon that just costs more if you want to develop a larger site. For example, Portage Place was an absolute nightmare for putting together the pieces to get that development off the ground. So there's always a premium on it running the other way. The whole concept is that, say if you're a land developer and you open up a new subdivision and the builder comes along and says, I'll take half your lots. Yeah, he's going to get a break because he's got a lot of product on his shelf and he has to sell it. But that's not the case with these lots because they come up one by one, and putting them together costs money. So when a nice one comes along for development, it will get a more aggressive price on it because you can do more with the lot. But again, if one is going to make that statement, one should back it up with data and workup. And the idea here is this big enough to support a development on its own and to be of interest? No, it's not. It's relatively small. And again, I'll sum this up at the end as well, but the city had all of these in the last cycle on the income approach, and then they switched for this cycle. They decided it's land value. So they're cheating. They can't have it both ways. You can't say, I shouldn't use the word cheating. That sounds they're doing an incorrect application. You can't change your applications midstream to support a higher value. It is a parking lot. Times are bad. The income approach they've generated proves it, and you can't switch to a direct sales approach and using dated information in a declining market as their own sales shows. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Okay, Mr. Neufeld. Does the assessor have any questions of the applicant, Mr. Ratton?
Mr. Newfield were referring that the restaurant was sold, but we don't have any records for that. Right, in our system, it doesn't show us there was a sale history for the subject property.
It was presented as anecdotal evidence as to the history, and I did not rely on it for determining a value. It's just history.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Ratton?
No.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions of the applicant?
Just confirming then your value is 5635 square feet at $40 for a number of 225,400.
That is correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Penner?
No questions for me, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, we've got a discrepancy in this lot size of approximately 1,000 square feet. Am I right? The assessor's using 1,685, you're using 5,600. So we got a different 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, may I just take a look at this?
I had a note in his files that said 1050 in an easement, if that helps refresh your memory.
Oh, okay. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot all about this. And I should know because I originally researched this. I've forgotten. So the property line on this goes all the way to the building to the rear. That rear lane does not exist, and there was an easement put in place. It was originally a prescriptive easement, which is whenever this occurred, there was 20 years of the neighbor enjoying that access to it. And when you go that long, it's an old concept. It actually comes from British law on sheep grazing, that you get to continue the use of it. So the owner has lost the use of 1,050 square feet to that prescriptive easement. And I'm just wanted to make sure or wait, does the city have an ownership map here? Oh, theirs is on an angle. There's a better look on it on the other city database. And of course we can't show that to you, but I just like to be right. Yes, 100% right.
So is the accessible lot size 5,600 or 6,600 in your opinion?
The usable is 5,600. That's what they have care and control over. The rest is outside of, has been turned over. Oh, here we go. On my page 3, you see the sketch above, and you'll see that the property line at 245 runs all the way to the lot line of the existing building, and the lane behind 251 doesn't. It blocks it off. So what happened was that they enforced their prescriptive easement rights and forced the usable area downwards by it, and that's the fault of having too much. I'm relying on memory.
Maybe on page 3, there's a photo of the side view of the parking lot.
Right.
And now what area are we referring to? Is that lane coming into the
Yeah,
parking?
all the land that's in the shade has been
Yeah.
lost to an easement.
But it's used as access for the parking lot. Would that be accurate?
It's used for access to the neighbor. And yes, and also for the parking lot can use it for access, but they can't park on it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's all I wanted to clarify. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Excuse me. We're dealing with rebuttal. Mr. Rattan, we're gonna enter into evidence rebuttal submitted earlier. Would that be accurate?
Yes, please.
Okay. Mrs. Harland, we have that on record.
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Neufeld, any requirement for rebuttal of the assessor's information?
No.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shable or Mr. Rattan, requirements for summary, please?
Our job here is to provide the correct and fair value for the subject property. Looking at our evidence, I would say the subject property should confirm the value for $422,000 based on land value.
Okay.
And that should be all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld?
Well, thank you for reminding me about the easement on it. It's been chopped apart by easement for access to the neighbors. So we do have a reduction in size, which is a true legal restriction. I've done, I don't know if anybody else in the appraisal world actually practices in prescriptive easements, but for some reason I've done about 10 of these, and they go to court and you determine if the rights are strong enough to provide that owner with, even though he doesn't own it, using it for the last 20 years, continued usage of it. So it is a loss in space. The income from it is negative. We put a nominal value on it, and as with all these properties, the income is so far below what even the model does that our number is validated by that. Yes, it comes from a lot of suburban sales, but it is truer to the market date, and very truer to the highest and best use, which is still parking lot on all of these lots. And thank you. That's my summation.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. That concludes item number 3, file number 24-4042, 245 Princess Street. And we are going to take a 7-minute recess, please. Mrs. Harland? Thank you, Mrs. Harland. We'll now back in session, called the meeting back to order. Next item on the docket is item number 4, file number 24-4335. Address is 285 Victor Street, roll number 130961866600. We're dealing with 3 applications for appeal. We've got the value of the property, the liability, and the classification. Mr. Neufeld, any comments on the 3 applications?
Give me a second. I don't seem to have the city's brief, and I'm guessing the board never sent it to me because we didn't file evidence. So they should have sent it to me yesterday at least. I don't have it. I'd like to just see if they could send that to me so I could see it first. Your day might get much shorter.
It's addressed as 28 Victor Street, Mr. Neufeld.
Yeah, but I don't have that file number. I have 6 file numbers that I was sent.
And
And what I know what happened here is that we never submitted evidence,
okay,
and the city decided, the Board of Revision decided not to send me the information, but they are supposed to send it. They would just send it at a later date. They forgot entirely. I want to see it first, and then we're going to move. I'm going to tell you we're going to confirm it, but I want to see it first before I make that statement.
all right, thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Mrs. Harland, I'm showing on the docket as 285 Victor Street. And yet on the submission item number 4, it's listed, am I right, at 28 Victor Street? That might be a typo possibly.
Possibly. Mr. Chair, would you like to take a recess?
Yes, please. And then are we going to share the brief with Mr. Neufeld as requested?
We'll talk about that during the
Well,
recess.
sorry, and now you have to send it to me regardless if I sent you information or not. It just comes late. So why don't you send it while you're talking about it, so at least we don't have to wait for it to show up.
Okay, we're going to recess right now and discuss this matter. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Harland.
You're welcome.
Back to order. We're dealing with, excuse me, item number 4, file number 24335. Address is 285 Victor Street. We have 3 appeals for liability classification and realty value for 2025. Mr. Neufeld, did you receive the brief from our assistant secretary?
Not yet.
Okay.
Oh, while I'm waiting for it, I don't know if I was looking at the last item on the docket. It's on Hargrave. The file number is
3947.
correct. Yes. There's I've asked for it to be adjourned. There's a supplemental going to be coming because the site is going to be changed to half school tax exempt.
Okay.
It hasn't been processed yet, so what we try to do in these cases, it should be coming any day, and generally we're allowed to replace the old assessment with the new one when it comes. So okay, and I just got the evidence.
Okay, so item number 8, we're gonna discuss with you a request for an adjournment. Noted.
Right, and the goal is not to open it until that's been decided, because if you open it, then I can't ask for an adjournment. If you don't open it, then I can. And I have 285 Victor, and just want a quick look at something.
Of course.
And oh, that's bizarre. Is this a typo on here?
Yes.
No,
It's-
no, but not the address, the assessed value?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading it wrong. Never mind. It's a split classification.
yes.
Okay, dual revenue stream. I see that. Okay. So I'm asked this if this can be confirmed. All matters. This is accessory parking for shared health building, and whatever value this comes in at, we will ask them to consider it as a part of the whole. It should have been heard together, but no point hearing it I do object to the concept of adjustments, but other than that, yeah, I'll just ask for confirmation.
Okay, thank you. Which assessor is presenting, please? Mr. Ratton, okay. Mr. Ratton, yes.
File number 24-4335.
Okay,
Number
Mr. Shable, just please, just summarize your brief, please. If you're not relying on the income and expense mailer and income approach, then just quickly summarize that and go to your method of land value, please.
Okay. Roll number 1 is 096186600. We assess the subject property for reference day April 1st, 2023, and 355,000. It's assessed by land value. If you open page number 9, 900 to 9,258 square feet, assessed at $38.35, give us land value of 355,000. So I'm asking to convert the 2025 assessed value of 355,000.
Okay, can you please state the square footage and the rate that you're using?
On page number 1, 9,258 square feet
Okay,
at $38.31 for 11% of this area and $38.35 for 89% of this area. On page number 9, because it's class liability 16 for 1,018 square feet and $38.31 in 40C school exemption 8,240 square feet and $38.35 give us together 355,000.
okay, and can you please give the the valuations of the split class codes?
60, if you look on page number 1, 60 it's taxable, give us 39,000. And tax school exemption, 316,000, 40 institutional.
Okay, to confirm, class code 60, other property taxable is 39,000. And class code 40, institutional
316,000.
taxable school exempt is 316,000 for a total of $355,000. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Any questions?
No, just ask for this to be confirmed.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions of the assessor?
Nothing, thank you.
You. Ms. Penner, any questions of the assessor?
No, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions. Mr. New, for the record, can you state confirmation request for all three appeal items?
Yes, that's correct. Please confirm all three grounds for appeal or appeal points on this property.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I assume there's no requirement for summary. That concludes item number 4, file number 24-4335. Next item on the docket is item number 5, file number 24382. 243842, pardon me. And the address is 346 Pacific Avenue. We're dealing with a 2025 realty assessment appeal only, And Mr. Ratan, are you gonna present this time?
Silvana is going to.
Okay, yes, please. Speak.
File number 24-3842, roll number 13096115300. It's located for 346 Pacific Avenue. We assess 2025 assessment value of 1,296,000. Currently use surface parking lot, land area of 43,769 square feet. Located 102 Central neighborhood. On page number 1. We had sale record, but in consideration $1, but sworn value was over 1.6 million. No subject list of subject property. On page number 3, we can see its parking lot used today. On page number 4, 346 Pacific Avenue, it's rectangle shape of wall. Facing Pacific Avenue on corner Pacific Avenue in Pauline Street. So located close to downtown area. On page number 6, it has character zoning C character sector. Intend to encourage a compatible fine grain mix of use rather than separation of uses into diverse area. The building form is key intersection ranging from contract massing of the exchange district to the monumental single store building near the legislative building. To the engaging variety of building and structures at the Fox. Urban design review intend to reinforce the value current build form, including enhance pedestrian comfort. We assess subject property market income that very well supported by land value. We assess parking lot and 220 stalls. Monthly net units rent dollar per square foot. Per stall 45, give us net operating income 64,800. We apply 5% capitalization rate. They bring us 1,296,000. On page number 7, presented 6 comparables similar to the subject property. 1 comparables on Galt Avenue.
Ms. Shable, excuse me, are you relying on the income approach?
Yes.
You are, okay?
I
Okay.
rely on both. It's very well supported by land approach as well.
Well, but
See,
okay.
6 my comparables.
Can you just summarize your rental rates and that kind of thing?
Okay, average showed $15.71, and we are net
Okay.
operating income per stall per month, and we apply 45. So it gives us 1,296,000. On page number 8, we can see land value 43,769 square feet was net rent $96.61, give us 1,296,000. If you open page 12, I have 6 comparable to support this assessment. I have comparable on Spence, 643 Portage, 190 Sherbrooke, 385 Notre Dame, 790 Notre Dame, and 320 River. Subject property 43,000 square feet. My comparables between 10,000 to 35,000 square feet. Comparables, 4 comparables commercial and 2 comparables number 1 and 6 residential in 6 multi-families. Sale between 2017 and 2022. give us media of $63.76. And if you look again on page number 3, land value second table, we assess only $29.61 per square foot of land. So based on evidence presented in my brief, the subject property assessment 2025 assessed value of $1,296,000 should be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Mr. Neufeld, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
Yes. On your page 2, who is the vendor?
As the owner of the building, 1005219 Manitoba Limited.
That's the purchaser. Who sold it to them?
This sale happened in March 4, 2020 at 1.6 million, and we assess only 1.3 million roughly. We
Who
don't rely on the sale. I don't
who
know.
sold the building?
It's not building and parking lot.
Who sold the parking lot?
I don't have this information in front of me.
So you're not aware that it was the Center Venture that sold it?
We don't rely on 1.6 million sale. We assess only 1.3 million.
Are you not relying on the sale then?
We assess much less this sale
Yes or no? Are you relying on anything for the sale history?
because sale history $1. We look on sworn value 1.6 million.
Are you relying on it?
It's in bracket what we assess 1.3 million. It's fair.
Do you know who Center Venture is?
No,
Okay. What's this year built 1954? What was built in 1954?
from 1954 it's surface parking.
You've
Our
had it
record-
as parking since 1954.
Yeah, it's our record show.
Okay. Is there casual parking on the site?
No information provided to us.
And the workup on this on page 7, is this from the model?
It's from the model. Model support land value. So model 1.2 $1,296,000, same with land value. They support each other.
So, but the model generated this income
Correct.
approach?
Correct.
On page 14, what is the income they've declared?
On page 14, income expense Miller provided for us. They showed income of $64,250
Net income, please?
for 16 stall.
Net,
16 stall only rent for $114 per stall.
net income,
And we
please?
assess 120 stalls. 16 stall didn't rent.
Please read the net income into the record.
$64,250 for 16
Line
stalls.
216, net income, please, for the record.
For the record, 16 stall showed it's 50% of parking stalls. We have 120 stalls available. 16 stalls showed $64,250.
In the year the mailer was returned, did they not on line 216 declare net operating income of $3,352?
It's line 218, Mr. Neufeld.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. I enlarged it so we could read that.
I had eye surgery. Okay, 218, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That is on page 14, Ms. Shable, for checking.
Yes, But it's in POM for 50% of the property. Stall count 120 stalls. We have information for 60 stalls. We have to multiply by 2.
Okay, so for the record then, $6,704 net income.
We assess at 120 stall for 45 monthly net units rent per stall.
I'm just asking you simple math. You said it was for half the property, and 50%, I multiplied by 2. Is that not $6,704?
If multiplied by 2, it will be over 130,000.
No, Ms. Shable, please, page 15 of your brief. Go there. The expense statement submitted by the property owner. Page 15.
Actually, page 14.
Page
sir.
14.
14, line 218 in the income and expense statement that was filled out. Mr. Neufeld is asking you if the NOI, net operating income on line 218 is $3,352.
Yes, it's reported to us.
Okay, good. Thank you for the record. Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Next.
And the model determined that the income was 64,800. Did you not consider reviewing the actual income?
Let's look on my market evidence on page number 7. I present six evidence. One Gall Street, 63 stalls, rent for net operating income $15.22 per
Sorry,
stall.
can I
My
just-
comparables number 2,
Let-
308 Edwin Street, 17 stall, showed.
I object at this point. We've
So
had this
our
read into
mean
the
or
record.
average of my market evidence showed over $15.
Wait, Ms. Shable,
Realized net income, and we assess $45.
He's trying to speak, but he can't.
Ms. Shable, stop, please. You've answered the question. Mr. Neufeld, anything else?
I lost my track here. Yes, in regard to the sales on page 12, how many of these were sold as parking lots?
Let's open page and see for airports. On page number 24, my first comparable 198 Sherbrooke, it was sold as vacant land. Today it's improvements on top. Comparable number 2 on page 225, 835 Notre Dame. It's during sale it was vacant land or parking. Right now improvements on top. Page 28, 6, comparable 790 Notre Dame. During sale it was parking lot or vacant land. Today construction ongoing. On page 27,
Ms.
River
Ms.
have
Shable,
small improvements. Today it's
Oh, stop.
Ms. Shable,
He can't when he's trying to.
Ms. Shable, perhaps go to page 12 where Mr. Neufeld asked you the summary of the sales, and there's all your sales, and he's asked you a specific question. Can you repeat it, Mr. Neufeld?
Yes, the question was how many of these were sold for the purpose of maintaining a parking lot?
what I try to answer by looking on picture. We're looking together. Let's open page 27.
You've got it.
River Avenue, sale was small improvements. Today it's vacant land.
Ms. Shable,
So you talk about parking lot.
So-
I cannot
No,
go from
but
summary
The
page.
chairman can't speak when you don't stop and let
Ms.
one.
Shable, on page 12, you've got the parcel use codes at the time of sale. There's your answer. To Mr. Neufeld's question. Can you read across that puck line that reflects the use of the property at the time of the sale? I believe. And then that's
Right
answered.
now, it's parking on Spence and Notre Dame.
Thank you.
Sorry, Spence and Notre Dame was the answer? Okay, and Spence, is that a parking lot that's close proximity to the University of Winnipeg?
And also parking lot on 215 U. Wait, it's kind of close. All these sales close to not far from downtown. You can see subject property has neighborhood 102, and three of my comparables 103, 105, 108, 11, 111. So it's close proximity to the subject property.
Is 790, sorry, is the lot on Spence located in close proximity to the University of Winnipeg?
And
So was there, sorry, I didn't hear, was there an
all
answer?
comparables close to
Okay.
the subject property, close proximity by neighborhood, how it was selected.
The question is, comparison number one, in your opinion, is it close to the University of Winnipeg?
I
We
don't have map in front of me.
We don't have to ramble off into other properties. He asked you a specific question. Please
My
answer.
specific answer, I don't have map in front of me, by neighborhood, very close to the subject property, closet.
Okay, Mr. Neufeld, next, please.
Next, the next one, lot 5, sign sale 5, which is identified as surface parking, is that not a new office building being developed by the Manitoba Métis Federation?
It's comparable 790. Let's look on photo of these comparables. 790. On page 26, it's under construction right away. Happened.
It's
During
under
sale, it was parking lot, what it showed in my table on page number 12. Now under construction, we can see improvements on top.
So only one of your comparables was purchased as a parking lot and is still a parking lot, which is number 1. Is that correct?
And Portrait still is empty spot. Pre-20 vacant, empty spot, no construction. Yes.
Okay, those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Ms. Penner, any questions of the assessor?
No, thank you, no questions for me.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread,
I have none, thank you.
and neither do I. Mr. Neufeld, if you would bear with us 1 second, we'll pull up your brief. When you are ready, please.
Okay, referencing the pictures on page 2, the top picture is an overhead view showing this parking lot. It serves as parking for the building to the right, which is 101 Pollen. It's the former biscuit factory. I think it was Christie. No, Pollen. Sorry, Pollen Biscuits, and it's now been repurposed to an apartment block. And then across the street on Ross, 316 Ross, which was a former building of some sort that was converted to multifamily as well. So the owner is the same for all 3 properties. This is the parking lot for both these sites. The land was purchased from Center Venture, and all the buildings that you see here were granted a historical credit of some sort for their conversion. And of course, with these credits, the requirement is affordable housing. So these have to be deemed generally affordable housing. I know there are some variances in the lots in the rents, but there's a very, very high degree of affordable housing. The parking lot is to be used by all properties, and there's a part of the lot that's fenced off, and the reason for the fencing was because Ross came first, and there was some hoarding of material and equipment on the site for the construction of the other one. And of course, it's not the best, safest area, so it is fenced with about an 8-foot metal fence. That just means when your car gets broken into, that the people who did it will probably rip their pants on their way out when they hop over the fence. It is nothing but parking for the apartments. There is no other parking on it. There's no casual parking. There's no Red River RRCC parking on it. It is just for the residents, solely for them. The income that we had worked out was was a little bit difficult to work out, and I'll try to explain what this was on page 1. Ross came on stream about 3-4 years ago, and so the revenue from Ross parking is $31,822 the first year and $54,251 the next year, and then the expenses are there. So you can see in 21 they lost income, and but part of that was due to the fact that they were still working on pollen and they didn't have all the lot available for parking. So that's why in the following year it increased to 54,000, but the expenses increased as well. This is post-reference material, but the pollen budget, which was known in April 1st, 2023, was that they were going to ramp up from 25,000 to 45,000 in gross income. And it's going to, these amounts are stated in the Ross amounts are in the statement that was provided to the assessor. So she was not incorrect on saying that it was only for half the site. The other half of the site is going to be coming with pollen, but it's not really half. It's as we said here, approximately 35,000 for pollen and 54,000 for Ross. Expenses of a total of 89, expenses 55,000. And one thing to point out is there are tax credits, but they're only applicable to the apartment buildings. They do not apply to parking lots. So the net revenue out of it is estimated at 33,000, and this is all 100% for residents, period. And I don't agree with the cap rate of 5% at all, but this is for, the city's going to use it. And I'd probably be another 3 hours if the hearing would go on if we argued about cap rates, because that's not the issue here. The issue is this is the income. So we're asking for a value of 666,200, which is capped at the city's rate of 5%, and it represents half the income proven already, and the other half estimated prior to April 1st, 2023. We have, again, some sales as well. It is 1 acre land in C zoning, but it is restricted to the use. And I've provided the pictures of the entrances, page 2. First of all, they are closing this entrance for the vehicle traffic, but what you do not see are ticket machines. And on page 3, this is the entrance they will be using. No ticket machines, and in the distance you can see the wire fence for access to the more secure area. No ticket machines. This is just for the residents. There's a page 4 is a summary of the development plan and the concept. They do plan down the road to have enact some changes. There is the potential down the road for expanding it, but this is what was submitted. This is what you're going to see. With it, though, and this is why it's conceptual at this point of view, and we're not going to rely on it for future development, also requires acquisition of pollen, the street, and closing it, and having parking there. That has not been done. It is still a city street. So this is a long-term plan to do this, and when they do that, they may have they're going to add parking into the structures on this lot when it happens. When that happens, it'll get reassessed and we'll deal with it then. As of today, it's an accessory parking lot that supports the developments that are in place. And there's a few articles here about parking lots. One of the issues here, and this begins on page 12, is in order to get approval, there had to be a determination at the beginning that the parking lot would not remain, that there would be an enclosed structure. So that plan has been put forward.
Excuse
when-
me, Mr. Chair, may I interrupt, Mr.
Yes,
Rocky, this report is all for future speculation and future.
That's correct.
What's the relevancy to today?
Give
In a
background.
nutshell.
Give background. I was gonna say at the end, it's the future and it's not for today. Speed up, go through it. Fine.
Yeah, we have the information. We need to do evaluation.
Oh, okay,
I
that's
really
fine.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, so the rest of it is just some background on the city's war on parking lots. The value is for the reassessment period, how much money is it gonna make us a parking lot? That's my presentation.
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Thank you, Mr. Newfeld. Do the assessors have any questions of the applicant's evidence?
Yes, please, page number 4. We're looking at preliminary development plan on point number 3, construction new multi-level parking garage containing 78 parking stall. My question is that today parking lot is future development for multi-level parking garage, correct?
It's a preliminary plan brought forward and there's no plans, there are no plans that have been applied for or in place at the current time. This would be a pipe dream down the road, well past into our next 3 assessment cycles in the future. Has nothing to do with value today.
Would you agree that the current parking use revenue it's more artificial to estimate assessed value of subject property? Wouldn't you?
Well, no, I'm not really sure what you asked, but today the parking lot is needed for the parking for 2 apartment blocks. And in the future, if there is a configuration change, they've got to find more parking. So it's displacement. It is not, we have a better, highest and best use in our plan. As I mentioned, they're hoping to pull this plan off, they have to obtain Paulin Street and close it.
So you talk about future development, but you not rely on land value of subject property, correct?
Its value is based on what it was today and what it is in use for today. And the hope is to do it, but there's no, like many parking lots in the city, there are no plans in place. And until that happens, anything would be a speculative value, not a market value.
We are not gonna pay, we're not gonna pay any heed to any future development speculation in the valuation of the property as it sits today. What is that?
No further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Penner, any questions of the applicant?
No questions for me, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Newfeld, simply you're relying on the income approach to value and not relying on the land sales at all, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and you're asking that we use an NOI of 33,310, capped at 5% to come up with $666,000 in valuation.
That's correct.
Thank you. Mr. Newfeld, regarding the I'm losing my thought here. Regarding the rebuttal evidence to the assessor, is that, do you want that registered? Yes.
That's your call. I have no questions on it. We've been over it.
Okay,
Yes,
that's-
because land sales still there on brief, its rebuttal should be forward for same this file as well.
pardon me?
Agent present land sales, so my rebuttal presented in first case should be applied for same
I was getting
as
there.
well.
I was just getting there, okay? And Mrs. Shable, we are gonna enter into evidence your rebuttal also. Mrs. Harlan, can you please confirm?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, any requirement for summary, Mrs.
Yes,
Shable?
please. Our job here today to analyze the market evidence and determine the best conclusion of market value. My opinion of market supported by income approach and land value. Agent state that he use current financial statements that usually not up to market. Market evidence showed 45 net operating income per stall, and land value showed 29 around $29.61 for applying for 43,769 square feet. Give both approach give us market value of property 1,296,000 should be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld?
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna repeat anything here, but you know, there's an interesting point here. The sale took place as COVID was striking, and I was actually in quarantine when it took place. But it tells you something about so it fits into the economic cycle that has been impacted by it and everything that happened as a result of it. But the main thing here is, if it weren't sold for $1, nothing would happen to it. That gives you an idea of the sort of value it has. It took the investment of millions of dollars in the apartments beside it to have it create any value whatsoever. And that's really the message here. The dollar speaks volumes. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes item number 5346 Pacific Avenue. Next item on the docket is item number 6, file number 2318. Address is 508 Hargrave Street. And we have 3 applications for appeal on this property for realty value, liability, and classification.
I'm going to simply ask that the document be forwarded to me. I didn't get it either because we're going to confirm it as well. This is attached to a WHA access center and is part of the greater economic unit. So if you can read it, you know what, I don't even have to look at it. Just please forward it to me, read it into the record, and I'll ask for confirmation.
Okay. Mrs. Harlan, can you please forward that to the assessor, the brief that was submitted by the, to the applicant, submitted by the assessor?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just a moment, please.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, please confirm when you received it.
I will, and I'll waive my own reading of it, and you can carry on with the hearing and speed things up. I got a hearing in the morning. I got to make it now.
Mr. Chair, should we have the assessor read the information into evidence?
That is a good idea. Yes. Is it gonna be, I have Mr., no, I don't, yes, I do. I have Mr. Tannen to present, is that correct? No, maybe not. I'm sorry, Mrs. Schobel, when you're ready, 508 Hargrave Street for the record, please.
File number 24-431A, roll number 13061069100. Address is 508 Hargrave Street, We assess 2025 assessed roll at reference day April 1st, 2023, and 356,000 for the institutional tax pool exam. So we ask to confirm the 2025 assessed value of 356,000.
Okay, please go over your, I assume, is it land valuation they're using?
I use both on page number 7. In
Which are-
approach,
Which are you relying on to present?
I
the-
rely on both. It's very well support each other.
Which one are you primarily?
I apply for marketed fee 33 style for 45 monthly net units rent dollar per square foot and 5% capitalization rate give us 356,000. And on page number 7, on page number 8, land value of 8,382 square feet at $42.47 give us 356,000. To support land value evidence presented on page number 12, 6 comparables.
Okay, can you just summarize the square footage you're using and the rate you're using for the land valuation, please?
On page number 12, I have 6 comparables. One comparables 198 Sherbrooke, 835 Notre Dame, 790 Notre Dame, 320 River, 360 Hargrave.
Stop. He's trying to say something.
Bravo. Your square footage you're using and the rate you're using to come up with the assessed value. That's all we require.
Okay, I have 6 comparables range between 9,000
No,
to
no, he just wants to.
summary, on page number 1, 8,382 square feet.
At how much a square foot?
$42.47. It's on page 13 or page 8.
Okay, thank you. Equals a value of $356,000. Is that correct? Okay. Mr. Neufeld, any questions of the assessor's information?
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread.
None, thank you.
Penner, any questions?
And no questions for me, thank you.
I have no questions either. Thank you for presenting, Ms. Shable. The summary for the record. Mr. Neufeld, can you state your confirmation request?
Thank you. Please confirm this property on all 3 points of appeal.
Thank you. Okay. That concludes 508 Hargrave Street. Next item on the docket, number 7, file number 24-3960, and I believe that's going to be the last one that we're going to hear today. Address, no address, file number 12-093-268-200. Ms. Shable, bear with us while we get to your brief, please. Okay, when you're ready, Mrs. Shable, please.
File number 24-3960. Address Smith Street, owner 116 Smith Street Limited. We assess 2025 roll, please reference date April 1st, 2023 at 1,995,000. Other property taxable. The subject property surface parking at 18,138 square feet. Photo on page number 2. A rectangle shape of parking lot. More photo on page number 3 and 4. The subject property M, multiple use sector. Intend to encourage the range of uses, size, activities, and building. typical to diverse and vibrant central district, business district. The built from form is also diverse, ranging from high-rise tower at Portridge in Maine to more intimate scale building along Graham Avenue. Urban design review intent to enhance pedestrian comfort, encourage high quality building form. We assess at market income, but it doesn't support land value that we made total adjustment to 1,995,000. On page number 6, land value of subject property 18,138 square feet. We assess at $109.99. Give us land value of 1,995,000. On page number 10, I presented four comparables to support this land value. One comparables on 44 Graham Hargrave, second 240 St. Mary, third Pioneer, and 124 Bannatyne. They showed mean $132.40, and we apply only $109.99. So our assessment 2025 assessed value of 1,995,000 should be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Mr. Neufeld, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
Just to clarify, what are you using, the income approach or the direct comparison?
Market income doesn't support land value. That's why land value, it's assessment for the subject property.
I don't understand. What are you using?
I use land value of subject property. If
Cost
you look on
of,
page
sorry,
number 5,
page.
income market income showed only 1.6 million. We have to totally do adjustment of 327,000 to bring market value of subject property 1,995,000.
Are you using page 9 and 10 and 11 for your assessment today?
I use both.
Both, okay.
But yes, land value supported.
And was the value on page 5 developed by the model?
Developed by the model, but we have to extra do a total adjustment of 327,000 to support land value of subject property of
So-
1,995,000.
Just to clarify, did the model produce the adjustment or was that someone
Yes,
manually doing it?
when income approach doesn't cover land value, model showed land value right away.
Okay,
If you open page.
that's all I need, that's all I need to know.
That's answered, Mrs. Schobel. Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, anything else?
Yes, on the statements that were provided here, did you attempt to determine the actual revenue for the site?
No, it's land value.
On page 15, the gross rent is listed at 124,400.
Assessment going at land value, I didn't, because market income doesn't support land value.
Did you attempt to determine what the actual net rent was?
No,
Okay. Sorry, let me just check something here. So what page are your sales on?
page 10,
And So these are properties we've already discussed then, all of them?
Yes. On previous property.
And were you able to determine if the subject property received any casual rental from events?
If you open page 15, income expenses Miller, we have parking revenue of 125,000.
So you didn't determine there is there's a ticket machine on site, so you didn't determine or didn't look into try to find if there was a breakdown or not?
No,
Okay. Well, I think the questions would be repetitive, and I think we've heard it all today. So with if the understanding is we don't need to repeat ourselves, I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Ms. Penner, any questions of the assessor?
No questions for me, thank you.
Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
I have none either. Mr. Neufeld, when you're ready, please.
Thank you. On this particular property, we looked at the income approach because it is an income producing parking lot and has been for quite some time. One of the problems we had is we didn't have the statement here, which is really funny, isn't it? Because we managed the property, but we couldn't find it. The revenue in 2019 was 184,000, and as the assessors pointed out in the last reference, in the reference year, it had dropped substantially to 124,000, a $60,000 drop. Now that was there were two major factors that led to that. One is the natural or the issue with the lack of parking downtown altogether, and the loss of tenants. It was anecdotally, I can tell you, I was telling you the story about when I came to work on Broadway. This is where I parked. Extremely hard to find a spot. Every day I showed up for work, there was someone in my spot. There was always scrambling because there's no room. Now you park wherever you want. There's lots of room, and that's what's happening downtown. It's nice to not have someone steal your spot every day, but it's not very good for earnings. 124,000, not 184. I'm not going to change my report because the other factor with the decline in income was that they ended up taking the lot and linking it up with 287 Broadway on a long-term parking at a discounted rate. And as a result, the revenues dropped for that. Now that was their choice, because at some point, there has to be a balancing of the income. If you're discounting your parking, that means you're getting an improved building rental rate at 287, and 287 had a major issue with trying to attract tenants. So that's why the other reason it dropped. So we don't think the 124 is a fair number to present to the board. The 184 is the one that we're going to for gross income. However, the expenses are virtually the same. The 73,000 now in the workup that the assessor provided, it's unfortunate, but the expenses weren't broken down for parking lot. And we had some older data, but if you look at the assessor's evidence on page 15, you'll see that the expenses are all, there's some that only refer to this, such as, well, under maintenance services, it would be oh, here we go. Maintenance services is the snow on the lot, and there's another one for the sidewalk snow renewal. Later on, that is not for the subject. The main one is that. And then the taxes are in here as well, but they're not broken down. And as is the insurance and property taxes are 123,000, which represents 305 Broadway and this lot. So the numbers are they will contain a variance, but it won't be a major variance. Essentially, our calculation, we think stabilized is around 65,400. And again, I don't, the assessor has applied a capitalization rate of 4.5%. We thought that they were going to beat 5, but you know, that's not why we're arguing today. But the point on the cap rate at 4.5, and I was explaining this the other day at a hearing, on April 1st, 2023, the yield rate was 5.6%, which meant that that's what people were earning on their money, 5.6%. And so the question is, do I want to invest in a parking lot for a 4.5% return or invest in the government at a 5.6% rate of return? The cap rate is not appropriate. There's no evidence to support that anywhere. It's purely hypothetical. We had no basis on our 5% either except for to not have an argument on cap rates, because that's not the main issue. The main issue is the value, the income value being declined. And the other point I bring up is about casual parking. So this property does receive some casual income from events, specifically the Winnipeg Jets. And here's the funny part about it. Their rate is like $11 all night. And the lot nearby is, I think, $18. So if it's cold outside, people park at the $18 lot. If the weather's nice, like the next couple of weeks, they park at this lot and walk. So it's not great revenue. Usually the most cars I've seen parked in this on a really nice day were about 15, and sometimes on a cold day there's 0. So it's not been generating, and vice versa. That's just anecdotal from being so close to this for so long. So our request is the 65,493 capped at 5%, 1309. I did not round it. But I would round that to 1,310,000. Now, in terms of a sale price per square foot, again, the sales. This is a pure parking lot with a better location. You know, $60 is. I don't have any market evidence to suggest a number that's higher than $60, but I feel that it is. That's just an opinion. Not of course in rate of whatever is on here, not 109 a foot, but I think that in this case the stabilized income produces a fair value of 1,310,000. Note that the purchase that occurred in 2014, which was 1,200,000. That generated a 6% cap rate on its sale, and it was sold for its parking income purely. So given that what's happened with downtown parking, I think 1,310,000 is a very fair value, and that is my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. I'm going to confirm right now your NOI you're using is 65493.
Correct.
Capped at 4.5%.
No, 5%.
5%. Okay, I'm sorry. Equals a value requested of $1,310,000.
That is correct.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. Do the assessors have any question of the applicant's evidence?
Yes, please. On page number 1, you showed income for 2019, correct?
Yes.
It's represent 2023 assessed roll, correct? 2 years before today.
I think that's ground I went over. Yes, that's correct. I did not use the.
So in 2023 was 1.5 million, and it's your estimation for 1.3 million for 2023. You didn't present any evidence for 2023.
Sorry, no.
Assessed value, correct?
No, I don't understand your question. Are you comparing,
You showed us 2019 market evidence for the subject property. Your estimation for 2019. This
That was-
reference date for 2023 assessed roll. Right now, with 2025 assessed roll, you didn't provide any evidence to show your estimation, correct?
I explained that as I went through it, in that the lower income from 2022 was 124,000, and there was a $60,000 decline in income. And I think a large part of that was the subsidized rent that they gave to 287 Broadway. So the number from 2019 is a fairer estimation of it, because at some point there's got to be a balance. If there's an advantage to 287 Broadway, to get the tenant in, and it's a cut in their rates in the parking lot, there should be an adjustment. And I felt the fairest adjustment was to look at the older income, which is $60,000 higher.
Subject property located in downtown, correct?
Yes.
So we should provide information support downtown market, correct?
That's what we do. Yes, that's what was done.
Your land sale on page number 1, all located suburban area, correct?
I don't think that the land sales, in this case, the land sales don't represent the nature of a true parking lot. I think the rest of the discussion today were on parking lot style, but not true parking lot. This is a true parking lot, and the revenue has been strong and in place at the rates described until very lately when they dropped because of the subsidies.
And we already discussed this in rebuttal, that to your evidence for suburban area, 255 Bell at $78 per square foot, and
I would just ask that you disregard the sales approach.
102
we're not-
per square foot. They very well support assessment at
I don't think we should waste time.
assessed value of $1,109, correct?
Mrs. Shaba, we've already decided that those are Mr. Neufelder's decision to delete these from his list, so what else do you have to ask?
I'm
page
not
number
relying,
2.
sorry, I'm not relying on the direct comparison approach for this property because it is a true parking lot.
And true parking lot, and your evidence show 2023 assessed row, correct?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
You didn't provide any information for 2025 assessed value road if you not rely on trend of land sale. Because in approach what you showed was in 2019. Reference years for 2023, April 1st, 2020. So your estimation 1.3 million for 2023 assessed value roll, correct?
No, that's incorrect.
No other questions.
What you're failing to see is the requirement in valuation.
No other questions.
Mr. Neufeld, I'm just gonna cut it off here. You provided your verbal estimate of value based on NOI, estimated NOI, and the panel will decide how much evidence we're
Yeah,
gonna put.
okay, that's fine, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Requirement for summary, Ms. Shea?
Yes. Our job here to
Oh,
this.
sorry.
I'm sorry. Mr. Whitbread, I'm sorry. Long hearing, Mr. Whitbread, yes.
I understand. No, it's just you haven't asked us for questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Let's follow protocol. Mr. Neufeld, just one question. I think you say it's a real parking lot, which to me means anybody can go in there. It's not dedicated to any apartments or businesses on either side. Is that correct?
As of right now, well, until about 3 years ago, it was about 60% assigned, and the rest was scramble, and there was evening casual, but it was always assigned. But yes, you could be on York and come and rent a space.
Yep.
When around it was right after Colliers moved out in 2020, is that they they got a contract with 287 Broadway for a big chunk of space, and as a result, they locked up a lot of it. So there's nothing. It is mostly assigned. I haven't done the exact numbers, but I think there's still nighttime event parking, and I still think that there's a few spots available for there's always spots available for buying a ticket and parking during the day.
Okay, you've confirmed what I thought you
Yeah.
said to be brief. Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. I'm sorry. Ms. Penner, any questions of the applicant?
No, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions either. I've got clarification on NOI and cap rate. Ms. Shable, requirement for summary?
Yes, please. Our job here today is to analyze the market evidence and determine the best conclusion of market value. My opinion of market based of land value of subject property. Agent rely of income approach that show 2023 assessed previous assessment, not 2025, and he disregard his land comparables. So based of my evidence, all my land sales support our assessment of 18,138 square feet at $109.99, give us estimation 1,995,000. I asked the board to confirm the 2025 assessed value of 1,995,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Mr. Neufeld, any requirement for summary?
Yeah, I'm looking at a Google Street View from 2019, and there's somebody parked in my spot. But I'm not trying to make light of things, but it's been a heavy day. The property is a true parking lot. It's always been a parking lot. It's not going anywhere. And it's of the ones we've heard today, it's probably the one that more would be the best approach on the income of anything. It had a stronger income a few years ago, and the reason for the decrease in income was, in my opinion, an artificial one, and as a result, I felt that it was important to stabilize. This isn't a question of ignoring and not using accurate data or timely data, because had we would have come with a lower value. But because, and that's why I was joking about someone in my spot, because I know what's happening here from a firsthand. I think what we did, we stabilized it as fairly as possible, at a higher income than it's actually generating, $60,000 higher than it's generating, and on the cash basis, and it's a fair representation. And also note that the sale price in 2014, considering the world of parking, it substantiates what we're doing. Thank you for everyone's patience today.
Thank you. That concludes item number 7, file number 24-3960. And item number 8 on the docket will be adjourned for scheduling at a future date decided by the manager of appeals. We have heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you to all parties for appearing. You'll hear from us as soon as possible.
And I did get the 508 Hargrave brief, just in case everybody was worried about me.
That's a really big relief.
I was wondering about that. Okay.
All right.
Ms. Penner, I think you better run.
That's, yeah, I have to finally plug my heart in.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'll take us offline.
Yes, please. Thank you, Mrs. Harlan.
Thank you,
Welcome.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Harlan, do you want to put Rocky in again? Then you signed him off. Good. Rocky, are you there?
He's gone.
He's gone.
He's gone.